Hello, welcome to GGD Gaiden Episode 6, aka the cool episode. I'm Wes Bates, I'll be the MC for this show, and joining me, as usual, the yogi to my boo-boo, Hunter Pearson. Hunter, how are you?
Wait, I'm yogi? Or are you yogi?
You're yogi, and I'm boo-boo. You're the yogi to my boo-boo.
That's so nice, I think. I don't know. I don't remember that from that cartoon. Wow. Thanks, I guess. What's up, Wes? Second time's the charm, Bates. People don't know, but we have to intro the show exactly 2 times every time because Wes wants it to be completely perfect, and then we never have any problems after that.
I was this close to making it through this time.
Yeah, he's good. Just got to get through that one, mishap, and then we're ready to roll. Anyway,
yeah, that first bad take. Anyway, many more bad takes to come on this show. Guaranteed.
Thanks, Boo Boo.
Joining me also, as usual, Brad Magic Missile Russell. Brad, you're muted.
Brad.
Well,
how's that?
Oh,
hey, there he is.
That's not muted.
Take 3?
No.
I'm just teasing. Sorry about that. Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here. Little under the weather. I'll preface it with that right now. So my voice may be in and out. I'm going to be trying to mute coughs and sneezes. I've had the flu for like a week. My voice is pretty shot. But I'll do the best I can.
You look great.
Well, we're glad that you're here all the same, Brad.
I always look great.
You do. You look
fantastic.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And lastly, but not leastly, Zach, King of the Cart Pearson.
Works well for this episode, all the snow going on.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that doesn't know, Zach is an amazing Mario Kart player.
Yes, he is.
I spent way too much time going through some of those levels, and I don't regret any of it.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun.
May or may not come up later. We'll see.
Potentially.
It's always time well spent, Mario Kart,
Especially when you beat your kids by giving them an extra lap head start and you still wreck them. It's so much fun.
The funniest thing, just a real quick sidebar, but when we were doing the Draft Punk Survivor thing, one of the competitions was a fastest Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial.
It was on a specific cup, so it was going through a specific cup.
And people put a lot of effort into that, and I think Zach beat the second place person by like something like crazy, like 15.
It was a minute and a half.
You beat them by a minute and a half. Like this is people who like have so much pride and put so much effort. And if you were part of this, people put a ton of effort in this. I mean, we had people playing crazy amounts of Peggle Blast. So something like Mario Kart that they actually enjoy playing, they definitely put their best effort in and couldn't even sniff Zach's jock on Mario Kart. He is so freaking good. I will never play him in that because I can't handle being that much worse than he is at something.
Nobody was sniffing Zach's crotch.
They weren't even
jock or whatever.
No, they were too far away, man. Too far away, too below.
There was the great game debate one that we did a while back too, and I remember Wes decided to go find my time and my ghost and wanted to race against it. And I think Wes's comment was, "I lost you after the first turn."
Yeah.
Yep.
He's very good at Mario Kart.
There was no way.
All right, that's enough saying nice things to Zach. How are you doing, Wes?
It can be made for me for the rest of the time.
I'm okay. I'm here. So we're recording this after Christmas, so I just thought we'd go around the horn real quick for our what's good. Tell me something good about your Christmas. Brad, we'll start with you.
There was absolutely nothing good about my Christmas.
Oh.
I was frying eggs off my forehead and struggling to breathe, and it was really, really probably the worst day of my illness. So Christmas was totally canceled around here. It is what it is. These things happen. But yeah, Christmas was rough. After all the preparation, after all the running around, after all the money spent, I basically spent it on my ass. So anyway, not to be a bummer.
Not necessarily Christmas Day. Anything about Christmas holiday, the whole time at all that was good for you?
Like I said, I mean, I came down with it 2 days before Christmas, so I'm basically just in the last few days waking up.
We'll just consider today Christmas for you
almost
then.
Completely unconscious. Anyway,
you're carrying Christmas behind you.
Let's go with what's good. I kind of just played some games in between. Had a little bit of time to game, but I got into the Pokemon DLC. That was fun. I guess that's really about it. It's like I said, hate to be a downer, but I've been out of commission for the last 7 days.
Glad you're feeling better and up and around doing some stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, bring us up, please.
I had a pretty decent Christmas. I think one of my favorite things was making fresh beignets, which Wes then proceeded to call cinnamon rolls. The image
I asked if they were the cinnamon rolls. I didn't call them cinnamon rolls.
No, that was my kids' request for Christmas, is that they wanted fresh beignets, so that is what I made for them. And they were pretty stinking good. We're going to New Orleans here in about a month, and my wife's like, I don't think that the ones we're going to get there are going to be better than the ones you just made. So that's a pretty good compliment from her on my bread making. I know we have a few good bread makers in here, so I have to try and keep up every once in a while. Hunter with his pizza, Brad with his pizza.
I thought that was like some kind of euphemism or something.
Y'all are both like bread maker aficionados.
I make some bread.
It's been a good time. I was blessed to have a very nice brother who gifted me with the ability to actually sound better in our episodes.
You do sound better.
So thank you, Hunter. It's very nice of you, and it was fun to get it set up, and I'm excited to make sure that I sound much better going through our episodes now. So thank you.
You do sound very clear.
Nice. Hunter, what's good? What was good without your Christmas?
I was gonna say listening to Zach just now was made my Christmas better, just because the microphone thing, but he kind of took that one from me. So I got a Switch OLED for Christmas. My wife and I do this thing where we buy what we want for ourselves, and then we pretend like we gave it to each other. So it's like the kids think that we're giving each other these gifts that we would probably never actually give for each other. She would never buy me a Switch OLED, especially when we already have a Switch in the house. But I've been playing Super Mario RPG on it, and it's that's like a great game for it, because it just pops, man. It's just so colorful, and I honestly tried to play it on the TV once, and I was like, no, it looks better in handheld. And I play almost exclusively handheld on the Switch. It's kind of what I like, just carry around to bed and other places. So that was a very fun thing for Christmas. And we had like some other fun gifts, and I got these really sweet looking NES coasters from Brad that I've been using, which I actually needed over here, because I always have drinks. There's a lot of, you can actually see the condensation coming off of that. So I actually did need some coasters. And I think, what else sent me this? Was this you, Zach? I got this fun thing too.
That was me.
Yeah, it kind of goes along with the last. About we talk a lot about God of War on this show, and so I'm very happy to have my Rocket Sindri Funko Pops over here. So
you're not drinking out of your lobotomy mug?
I did. Oh my God, yes, I didn't. I don't have that up here. Oh, I wish I had remembered to bring that up here. But yeah, Wes got me a really cool. I got my lobotomy at Volos. I can't believe that's the thing you found. It's so funny. I think I might have a picture.
Little in joke to our Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough.
Yeah, it's really funny. I love it a lot. It's in my regular rotation now. If I can find it. My son really likes it too. Oh, there it is. Let me see if I can tilt this. You gotta tilt your phone to actually be able to see that. So
yeah, we can see that.
I got my lobotomy at Volos, which is just not even going to spoil it. Like, go play Baldur's Gate 3, and if Volos offers to try and get the tadpole out of your brain, I suggest taking him up on the offer. It's a pretty spectacular cutscene.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. As for me, we got a little buddy in the background there that wasn't there in the last episode. You guys might see. He's he's BD1, aka the #1 best video game robot, as voted by the GGD community.
It's official.
It's official, and he's hanging out in the background now. So that was fun. I put that together about 3 days, about 3 hours each day, working on that thing. It took a little bit of time, but it was worth the effort.
It's a good Lego set, you know. It really like comes
Really
out
good.
looking like, because it's like basically like a 1-to-1 size of like the.
It is.
So
It's
cool.
to scale.
That's awesome.
That's pretty neat. And then the other thing that sounds really lame, but I'm really excited about is I went to Costco today and I bought a new vacuum for the house.
Oh yeah,
It's sorely needed.
That's a very West. Like before we started, Brad was asking us like what if like everybody was gone on Earth, what we would do with our time, and I think go to Costco and get a vacuum might have been Wes's answer anyway.
We got a new Dyson Ball 3 vacuum. I tested it out this afternoon.
It's got a
With so much
3-year
dog hair that
warranty.
came out of the carpet. It was great. It was awesome.
God, you're such a dad.
I need one of those.
Thank you
He's
for
a
listening to the Great Suction Debate.
Yeah, we're
Gaiden
gonna have
podcast.
we're gonna have a top 10 vacuums that you can get at Costco episode. Dyson Ball
We're
would
about
be up
10
there.
vacuums there. So anyway, all right. Well, that's enough of what's good or not. And we're gonna move on to the next section. Normally we have a news bite section, but we all had so much fun watching the Game Awards this year that we thought it would be fun to chat about some of our favorite things from the show. So we're just gonna kind of go around the horn. Everybody's gonna kind of just pick a couple of things that you enjoyed watching from the Game Awards. Hunter, why don't we start with you?
All right. Number one thing for me that got me really jazzed was OD, the Overdose, the Kojima and Jordan Peele.
Is that what it's going to stand for?
I think that's right. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
OD.
that's been out there for a while.
I mean, I have been suffering with the lack of PT as a game in my life, or I guess Silent Hills, anything like that, like a Kojima horror game like that in any capacity. I don't care how big or small it is, what it's coming out on. I don't care. Give me whatever that is, and they did that little nod at the end where like the door was opening up, like in her eyes. You could see it. I don't know if you saw that, but like in the reflection in her eyes in the preview they did, like you could actually see the PT door opening up in the reflection in her eyes, and there was the sound that went along with it. Oh, God,
Did you?
I missed
the
that.
follow up comments that they like found letters in one of the actors' mouths, like just like flash briefly.
Oh yeah.
Also, that were linked to PT.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Like linked to Silent Hill.
I
somehow.
did hear that.
How
Like,
cool
so it's
is
like
that?
frame specific, because people know when Kojima puts out anything, you have to go through it frame by frame just to see if there's any weirdness. And yeah, it was like the in Japanese, right? Like the name of like a place that like translated means Silent Hill or something. I don't know.
It had some sort of
That's
link.
weird. I
that
did hear
people
about that.
associate. I didn't read too far into it because I've actually never played a Silent Hill game, so can't
So
say I understand it.
that, I mean, there was nothing really of substance shown of that, but just the fact that there is like the potential for that to exist in the world, I'm very pumped about. My other two, I'll just throw out there randomly. Another one, I don't even know what it really is, but the fact that they're making a Jurassic Park video game that seems like very much like, you know, trying to bring back the feeling of the very first movie, which is like my favorite movie of all time. And like, just if that even like is anything like recreating those feelings in me, I'll be very happy about it. And the one that I'll say that surprised me that I'm excited about is Windblown.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that game
on
looks
my
so
list.
pretty.
It was like a violent Saturday morning cartoon co-op roguelite.
Very cool.
I mean,
Made
it
by the
looked-
Dead Cells guys.
yeah, it just looked.
Yeah.
It looked. I was like, "What am I watching?" I was like, "This is amazing!" And then finding out that it's going to be like a co-op thing, Really kind of caught me by surprise. I said roguelite. Is it I never understood this.
It's gonna.
Is it roguelite?
I think it's going to
Is there
be
a difference between those words? I don't know.
Based on the fact, I think that weren't the characters killed and then they had like start over.
Yeah, then they get reset. Yeah, it's going to be a roguelite. I'm pretty sure.
And it's a like.
And I think it does look really cool.
Okay.
The art looked awesome on that game. That was one of the ones I was definitely going to bring up too, because it is fantastic looking. And I don't know, Hunter, have you played Dead Cells very much?
No, I never played any of it, but I like roguelites aren't really my thing. Like for the most part, I liked Returnal some, and Hades obviously. It was really good. But even that, like I did the loop a few times and basically was like, okay, like I did the loop, realizing that I was missing out on a lot of the game. But if I'm doing it with friends and like there's real like stakes to like us progressing, like I'm all for that. I love that kind of stuff.
I'm absolutely playing that game, so I'm totally in.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get on that one.
Absolutely.
You might give Dead Cells a shot though, anyway, because you might. It's pretty dang good. I don't really like roguelikes either, but
it reviewed really well.
It's just fun to play.
Yeah,
Dead Cells is fantastic.
I really liked IGN's review of that. That's a wink for people who know that story.
Did you have a third one, Hunter?
No, that was my third. I said OD, Jurassic Park, and
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you?
I can't not say it. My number one most exciting thing is Final Fantasy VII. I mean,
the Apex Legends crossover, right?
No, I mean, I love Apex Legends too, but I don't give a shit about that. No.
God, that was such
Final Fantasy VII
thing.
Rebirth is not that far away now, and this is probably my favorite. It's 2 months, and this is probably from the original game my favorite section of that game.
Sure,
like you're first in the world, you're getting to explore, you're getting to see a lot more stuff out there, and then you get to the Golden Saucer. There's crazy story moments that you get. Like this is as good as the Final Fantasy VII remake was. I am more excited even now for this one, just because of what all I know is coming, and I'm so interested to see what else they're going to put in. Like Hunter, I know you didn't finish remake yet, even though I asked you to do that.
Wow, really?
I still have time. I know I have time,
but you got kind of a spoiler there in the trailer.
Well,
Zach's alive.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think I realized that
right down
until
in the
just now.
bottom hand corner. We're looking at him right now.
Yeah,
not Zach. That's Zach with a C. That's me. I'm talking about Zach with a K.
Yeah,
who
that's
was Era's boyfriend. Because that is a whole thing coming in from Crisis Core, and
maybe that means Eric will be okay.
That's what's going to be interesting to see. What all small changes are they going to make to really make this a new story?
I don't think that'd be a very small
change. I think. Well, yeah, that would not be a small change, but I think that there are going to be some things they're going to put in there that will be like.
What if really they killed Tifa instead?
Oh, man. Can't do that.
There's so many clickbait headlines going around. I saw one, I think literally yesterday, it said, "Oh, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director can't wait for fans to see Aerith's fate." And it's like,
we know what's going to happen.
Clickbait headline could this be? It doesn't even say anything.
I hope the next game is called Final Fantasy VII Afterbirth. That would be a great name.
Oh my god! I mean, you say that, but that's a good. There is a good possibility of that.
Dude, that's totally a Final Fantasy VII like title too. It's like before Crisis, after fucking right.
Afterbirth. Oh my goodness!
All right. I have a few more that I want to bring up, but I'm not sure if the other guys had them on the list. That's probably the reason I want to bring them up. I'm just going to run through them quickly, just state them. I'm also excited about Pony Island 2.
Not on my list.
The Inscription guys.
Yeah, the Inscription game. Yeah, that looked really cool.
Yeah, that Brothers Tale of Two Sons, the remake of that looks amazingly beautiful.
Because you brought this up, let me just ask. Why did that game need a remake?
Didn't. Absolutely.
It doesn't, but it looks beautiful, and I will absolutely play it. My son has already asked me about it. So.
Let me answer that question, okay? So, because, Hazelight, that's the name of the developer, right? Is that it? Hazelight?
Well, that's the name of the original developer, but I don't know that Hazelight is actually making it.
Yeah, it's It's first game was directed by Joseph Ferris at Hazelight Studios. So yeah,
Okay.
it's the same guy. I don't think it was prior to Hazelight though. Was the original.
So and then they did what? They did A Way Out, and then they did It Takes Two. Right. And so I think with A Way Out, it really the developer kind of picked up some notoriety, and then with It Takes Two, it was like it blew up, like everybody. Yeah. So I think a lot of people probably would have to like go back and play that game, and maybe they don't have like the means or even know that it's there. Like, so it's probably just trying to capitalize on the fact that this is out of all of those games, that one stands right up there with the rest of them, and it's probably amazing. It's probably maybe the best story of all of them. So I think they're it's such a unique game. I think they're just trying to get it in the hands of people who maybe it just passed them by because they just didn't really realize.
Well, I mean, I can't deny it's a fantastic game. I don't necessarily
because it's going to
see the
sell.
Point of remaking it.
I promise you, it's going to sell.
I think that there's good reasons for it. I also think they're going to make it. The original one, if I remember correctly, was not actually multiplayer. It was a single player game, which is another reason for.
Is this?
I don't know. I don't know. They might make this one multiplayer and be also another reason for the remake is to add that in.
Because that just takes away everything that's unique about that game.
That game, I would be kind of perturbed if it was multiplayer, just because, the whole point of like having to try and, learn that the mechanics of that, like it kind of feels like it's like connected to the game in a really kind of intimate way to me. So, I don't know. It would be interesting if they did multiplayer. I hope they don't, personally.
Yeah, I hope they don't either.
Okay. My last one, just because I also don't think that either Wes or Brad will bring this up, Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think either of you played that, so...
I play Monster Hunter.
Yeah, what are you talking about? We played Monster Hunter
We played it together.
Many times. How have we...
Yeah, that is true.
We played Monster Hunter Worlds.
My memory is going on.
We played...
Yeah, played a lot of Rise.
Yeah, a lot of Rise.
Yeah, that is true.
You're our little drummer boy, and your
my horn.
Your
horn
and
your
boy. You're the horny boy, and when we were fighting the big monster with the penis head.
Yeah.
I can't believe you forgot about that.
That's just my mind right now.
It's gonna get Brad in on that.
Yeah. We do, yeah. Monster Hunter Wilds is gonna. That is pretty far off. That's not until 2025, but. I mean,
it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
You know what that game is. Sure. Like, it's going to be amazing. Like, you don't even have to. It's one of those you just don't even have to second guess. Those games are always good. They're always basically kind of the same loop with some like little twists here and there. But it's going to be fun.
They've been doing a really good job just like streamlining the gameplay and making it easier to pick up and go. They give you a mount obviously because you have a mount in the game, so. Even if it's not a Palamute necessarily, I think that's no
good. More dog drifting.
There are two things in the Monster Hunter games that I am like the biggest fan in the world of that I wish more games would take a cue from. One of them is not giving bosses health bars, like in certain games. I know, Brad, that hurts your soul, but the health bar is the way that it reacts, like you can tell if it's hurt because it's like limping or if it's lost part of its ear or tail or something, like it's like visibly damaged, so that's how you know. And then I absolutely love that you're leveling up in that game is just what you're crafting from the hunts, like you make gear and the gear levels you up, and that's the level up system. There's not just putting random points in things. Like, no, you have to go get this Rathalos tail in order to make the thing you want. So go hunt Rathalos. That's such a cool concept. I like when gear levels you up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, Brad, let's go to you. What's your top picks from the Game Awards?
Well, I really enjoyed the new Persona 3 Reload trailer. Some really cool new footage there. Like send me down like another 3 or 4 rabbit holes, things that I forgot could be coming, and like that's really interesting. But that's a standard answer for me. As far as things that jumped out at me, Windblown was on my list. Of course, Hunter brought that up. I can't wait. That looks really, really good. There's a neat little like action adventure kind of investigation game with cool art coming in 2025 called Usual June.
Yeah,
that looks cool. Yeah,
that one stuck out at me a little bit.
I like the visual style of that. It gave me like heavy kind of Spider-Verse vibes.
Yeah.
like, mixed with like like old, not your not your stereotype LucasArts look, but like the old LucasArts look, like where it's kind of a little jagged. Like look at like Maniac Mansion, kind of like, I don't know. It had a cool thing going on, like Day of the Tentacle.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it, not in like fidelity, but in color. Like, so it looks really neat to me. There's another one that was really cool. I didn't think I'd hear about it from you guys, but it touched me pretty quick. Was Harmonium the musical?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this
That
is
was
like
cool.
an adventure game
Deaf
about
Girl?
a deaf girl, like discovering
cool.
music, and I love like the way it looks, and I love the way it sounds, and like it just seems like it's going to be a gem. So that one was on my list. And lastly, another cool kind of like a snappy action role playing type of game with like a straight up anime style that's like right out of my playbook was Arknights Enfield. Does anyone have a look at that one?
No, I don't even remember seeing that.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, look it up, Wes. Like you,
right.
that
I'll write it down.
Kind of getting your name written on it. Arknights Enfield is what it was called.
All right, I'm gonna look that up later.
Yeah, it looked like it had some snappy combat.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up Metaphor.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm surprised that you didn't bring up Metaphor.
Yeah, no, I tried to think of things that were like, I don't know. Those were the ones I picked.
I was surprised you didn't bring up
Metaphor
Visions.
looks awesome though.
I thought you were going to bring up Visions of Mana because, like, that's.
Hey, we'll get there, all right?
Oh,
all right.
All right. Thank God somebody's going to bring that up. I actually like left it off my list because I thought, like, for sure, like that somebody else would be bringing that one. And
yeah, actually, that was one of my absolute favorite reveals of the show. And that game just looked awesome. I've been waiting so long for a new Mana game. And it looks like it's running. The engine looks a lot like the Dragon Quest XI engine.
Yeah,
like very close.
Very close.
What Mana games have you played, Wes? Like all of them, or
not all of them, but a lot of them. I played Seiken Densetsu 2 and 3. And I played the one on GBA. I'm trying to remember. I think it's a Sword of Mana, I think. And I played a little bit of Legend of Mana. I played
one, right?
Yeah, I played my fair share of Mana games, and I played a little bit of the remake for Trials as well.
I'm not crazy about kind of where Mana went, so like it's like it looks very Mana, but it's like it's, I don't know, like since the third installment, I kind of checked out on those games.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely kind of gone downhill, I think, in a lot of ways, but I'm really interested to see where this one goes. It looks like they're throwing some money at it for once, which is great. So
and I was really happy to see that. I hope it's going to be super awesome.
Looks
like,
really
it's been
good.
a while since I really enjoyed that series.
I just like how colorful it is.
God, that tree is
kind of whimsical.
I just want to like look at that tree.
It will give me some of the whimsy I didn't get in Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 didn't do a lot of that Final Fantasy stuff, did it?
No, not really. A couple other highlights for me. No Rest from the Wicked from Moon Studios. That game looks awesome. I'm a big fan of the Ori games, and just the visual style of that thing looks through the roof. It reminds me of sort of a Vanillaware art style, but a little less anime, and just that isometric action gameplay looks so much fun. I'm really, really into that. So I'm really looking forward to finding out more about that. And Black Myth Wukong.
I'm glad you mentioned that one. There's another one that I was like, I don't want to leave it out, but I did.
Yeah, that August can't come soon enough.
Please let that one be good.
Better and better and better and better every time.
That game is stunning. Like if it plays well, and it has that feel, like that correct feel that you want out of like a Souls-like type game. God, it looks good. I love the entire atmosphere.
I just had one more really quick one, which seems like a Marriage Made in Heaven, the Arcane Blade game.
I'm so confused by that. I did not see that one coming. And Arcane, they need to rebuild some trust back after Redfall. So, but they didn't. I mean, they didn't show anything of it. It just. Is,
I think that's just a fantastic combination, though. If they put something a la Dishonored together with Blade, I mean that's the type of character I feel like
that's what
really
Redfall was supposed to be, and Redfall was just
no, because those characters weren't vampires; they were just people. They were fighting vampires, right? Blade is an actual like half vampire.
Yes,
with vampire powers.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was. My mind went backwards. I thought you were describing Blade. I was like, no, they're vampires.
No. I was saying like in
Redfall,
you're not a vampire. You're just some weirdos on an island.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it takes more to kill the vampires in Blade than it does in Redfall. That's all. That's all I'll ask for from.
Well, they're not gonna. There's a part of me that thinks that maybe they got. They maybe got this offer like part of the way through the Redfall development, and that's one of the reasons why Redfall is just straight hot garbage, because they're just like, fuck it, we're just gonna get this out and focus on, working on Blade, because I mean you can't. I mean that's such a huge property. Like you gotta deliver on that. That's like your chance to like maybe get in like that Insomniac world where you can just start making huge bucks on some Marvel games and other things like it.
I'd like to say that I think that with Marvel being behind it, that there would be some like seal of quality or something that they would have to meet. But then that Avengers game came out, so I'm not really sure you can say that.
The Avengers game, I think, wasn't so much that it lacked the quality; it's that they took that game in the wrong direction. Like, basically from the get-go, like, because they thought they're gonna be able to take Avengers and make Destiny out of it, and they should have just let them make an Avengers game. Like, there's a good Avengers game that they could have made out of all of that work, but they just tried to like make money off of it, and then like the backlash, they ended up like trying to change it last minute, and it just wasn't good.
Yeah,
but I played some of that game, and there's some really fun characters to play in that game.
The gameplay in that game isn't bad necessarily. It's just a little stale. It's not something that you can do for a jillion hours.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Any other highlights from the Game Awards?
I'll throw another one out there. I'm interested in Light No Fire.
No Man's Earth.
No Man's Earth that there's not a release window for. It looks gorgeous. It looks really cool. And I'm afraid we're going to have the same thing happen again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I certainly think that they have a better chance of making a good game with one planet as opposed to
it's still procedurally generated.
Trillion. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're on
a lot more solid ground now than they were at the time that they developed No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
So
I think it looks cool, and it looks like playing Valheim or like a game like that. And I'm down for that. It looks like a lot of fun to have with friends.
It looks like Skyrim to me in a lot of ways, like a more colorful Skyrim.
Yeah. Hey, if somebody who's never played No Man's Sky like jumped into it right now, like there's a good game in there. There's a lot of like base building and like combat, and it definitely is not the experience we had with it like right off the bat. So I played a lot of No Man's Sky. I like it. So I think Light No Fire would be fun. I hope
a lot of people love No Man's Sky. They've been supporting the hell out of that game. I mean, they showed in the trailer how many like add-ons and updates they've had to that game.
There's some really cool stuff in there. If you put the time into it, you can find some really badass spaceships. The VR is fantastic. I mean, it's a fully VR game. Like, you can just, if you have a VR headset, you can just jump into it and like actually like climb in your spaceship and like move the stuff around. It's really cool.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, hopefully it'll be good. All right, that's gonna cap off our call outs for the 2023 Game Awards. We're gonna move on to the Gaiden Top 10. Did you say something, Hunter? I didn't get that.
Oh, I just said neener.
No, it didn't come through at all.
Oh, that's so funny. So I just went like,
yeah. Completely peaked.
Anyway, for the Gaiden Top 10 this month, we're gonna be getting bundled up and getting ready for some cold weather outside, because we're talking about the top 10 video game ice and snow areas and or levels. So
yeah,
it's a good list here.
I love snow levels. I'm so glad that we did this topic because out of all of the like types of levels, I think snow's my favorite. You know, like better than like beach and water and all that. For me, I love playing in good snow areas and games.
You can do a lot with it. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. So let's not delay. Let's start with our number 10.
Number 10.
At number 10, we have the Snow Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey. So I'm going to kick this one off. So Mario's coming down to this new kingdom. He's landing the Odyssey in the middle of a blizzard. He doesn't know where he's at. And there's all you can see is this little kind of sort of shiny object sticking up out of the snow down at the bottom of this frozen mountain. So you do a little bit of light platforming down there. You have to jump across some cold water. You gotta be careful because that water is real cold and the screen will start icing over. Mario starts icing over if you're in there for too long. But you get over to that snow. Mario kind of like runs into the snow and all of a sudden fall down this big hole right in the snow. And underneath this frozen wasteland up above, there's this super cozy little like seal town of seal people all bundled up in their snow coats and stuff.
Are they seals? I don't think I ever realized they were seals. Sorry.
I always thought they were walruses, but I went back and watched a bunch of gameplay and they don't have tusks. So
okay.
I think they are like more like white seals.
They're like seal Eskimos.
They're Shiverrians is what they're called. So
okay.
the area is called Shiveria, and you get down there, and it turns out that Bowser has stolen something. I can't remember what he stole from there, like a prize or a cake or something like that. And he's blocked off these seal guys. They love racing. They're very round and bouncy, and they love doing these like bouncing around this race course. So Mario's got to get some power moons in these like 4 areas and kind of unlock the raceway. So you do that, and then they don't have enough people to run the race. So Mario goes, and you can actually take over one of these Shiverrians and enter the race, and you can start bouncing around the course, which is super duper fun. It's really, really fun.
I think that was my number one moment in that game, honestly. A game filled with just like big ass smile jolly moments, like because you wander around that town for so long that, or like not so long, but you kind of wander around. You have to like unlock some things, and you see these things, and all you're thinking is like, man, these are just the jolliest looking, snowed in wintry creatures ever. And then when you get to take over one, you're like, and then you start bouncing around, and you're like, oh my god, you're
like a giant beach ball, just
so
bouncing
bouncy.
Around.
You're so bouncy.
And you shake the controllers, and it makes them bounce higher and farther. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So, other than that, there's a ton of stuff to do after you kind of like unlock them. Then up above, like the weather kind of chills out a little bit and clears up, and you can go up and start exploring around. And it's not like the largest kingdom that you'll go to, but it's really tight, and there's a lot to find. There's 55 moons that you can find in that area. I watched a video of guys like finding all 55. There's some that are buried in the snow. There's one that Mario has to do kind of like a not the ice bucket challenge, but one of those. He basically has to just like dress up in his underwear and go running around in the snow to get one of the moons. Like show that he has like the fortitude to just run around in his underwear in the cold.
I know there's one door that you can't get into until you're like dressed warmly enough for it. I always thought that was cool,
yeah,
too.
yeah. You have to buy the snowsuit, and then you can do this. I think you like run up this like super frozen like ice hill, and you get those flowers that like speed you up, and you have to keep going up and up and up and up to get there. There's a few like underwater in that frozen water. You have to take over a Cheep, and you have to bounce a Cheep up a hill of snow into a little pool. There's one where you can go ice fishing, which is really cool. Also,
Jeez. That's crazy. I don't think I did all of this. I feel like I need to go back.
Yeah, there's a lot there. It's really fun. And the music for the area is also very cool. It's got jingle bells that play. It's like jing 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 jing. So it's got a very kind of cozy winter feeling about the whole kingdom.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
It's so Nintendo, and like I don't think a lot of people would argue with me when I say that Nintendo and Mario specifically has like the best slippy ice feet mechanics, you know, like the like running one direction and then you know, like you kind of have to like, and there's like at least a couple, I think, of the like 2D sections in that area. I think there's 2D sections in all of them, but
yeah, there
like,
is a 2D
it like
section.
takes you back to like where you're like 2D slipping on ice and stuff, and I mean it's just instant nostalgia, and I don't know that any games do slipping around on ice better than Mario games do. It's kind of very satisfying control.
Handy trick. Taking over Goombas don't slip on ice. So.
Oh yeah.
You did? I didn't know that.
So if you're having trouble slipping on the ice, you can just like take over Goomba, and then it's a lot easier.
Yeah, that's such a. There's like such big like poofy like deposits of snow in that area that you have to like punch through. Some of them are even just so big.
And it just like clears out all the snow. Yeah.
And some of them are so big that like you clear it out and like snow just like falls down from above it, and you have to clear that out. It's so much snow. Good snow too.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comments about the Snow Kingdom from Mario Odyssey?
No. I mean, to me, the race was the highlight. I still think that.
Yeah, the race is really good.
I mean, bouncing shortcuts. You know, it felt like very like Zack Mario Kart-esque, where you're just bouncing like right over places you're not supposed to be, and
the finish line music where it goes.
And then you get
it's just ripped right out of Mario Kart.
And you get you get up on an actual podium too in true Nintendo fashion. And there's even if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like there's even like some sections of the track that they look like Excitebike, like, you know, in 3D. Like
they have those little
like the squared off kind of. Anyway, very cool area. Not surprised to see Mario Snow on here already.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a hell of a way to kick off this list. A hell of a way, I tell you. All right, moving on to our number 9 pick.
Number 9.
Hey, why does this place look so familiar?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Hey, you recognize that mountain?
Yes! This is where we had our first skiing trip together.
Yeah.
Hola, little ones.
Oh, no. We're stuck inside that snow globe we bought there.
Get to the top of the mountain to receive your next piece of the letter.
Yeah, what if we freeze to death trying to get there?
Use your magnet powers and the attraction will warm you up, baby. Yeah, you feel that? Mwah, 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 mwah. You just gotta feel the warmth. Mwah, kiss it.
At number 9, we have the Snow Globe from It Takes Two. Another excellent snow and ice area with a lot of variety. But Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, but first, let's work on our attraction.
Oh my
god! When you get to the Sack of Love, when you get to the Snow Globe area in It Takes Two, your Book of Love. I can't remember his actual name.
That is his name, right?
Well, it's the Book of Love, but no, I feel
like
he had like another name. I thought that was like also. It was like Who Is By was something funny.
I can't remember either.
But he has you go to work on your attraction, and the items that he gives you to run around in this area are 2 halves of a magnet. which then May immediately complains, like, there is no such thing as two halves of a magnet. There's only one thing. And he's like, shut up, take it. They work this way here. And you get let loose in a giant snow area where you're having to move around with the magnets to move things. May has a blue magnet, I believe, and Cody has the red one. And so Cody can push red magnets away and pull blue magnets to him. And that's kind of your main traversal technique for the area and your main kind of gimmick that they do. But that's not why we're talking about this area. We're talking about this area because this is probably the best area, in my opinion, of the entire game of It Takes Two. I'm a little bit disappointed that it's only at number 9 on our list, to be honest.
It's really good.
It's amazing.
Remarkable.
Part of it's just like there's more exploration in this area, I feel like, than a lot of the other ones. There's a lot more things that you kind of unlock as you're going around that just continue to be a ton of fun. One of the big ones is you get to a town that is just completely frozen over, and you have to go around and ring some bells to shake all the ice off of the town. And as you do that, more things get unlocked, including some of the best mini games in the game. You have, let me add them pulled up. So we have icicle throwing, shuffleboard, snow warfare, which is just a snowball fight.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later on, you
fun.
get an ice race. Like, it's only 4. I guess it's only 4. I feel like I remember there being more, but I think it's just there's a lot.
Curling, right?
Is there
That's the shuffleboard. That's the shuffleboard. Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically curling things that you push on the ice.
It probably is. Is it shuffleboard or is it curling?
They called it shuffleboard, but it's very much more. It's not a shuffleboard because you're going. It's like curling. A 4, a 2, and then a 1 line instead of like curling where it's the circles.
Okay.
But like there was just, even without the games, I remember Hunter and I, when we did our playthrough of this, we stayed in that village for probably hours. 3 times as long as we needed to, because we just kept finding fun stuff to do. It was fun to just skate around on the ice. It was fun to find a snowball and to peg each other with one from across the map. We got into some sleds and we're sledding and had to like
half pipe.
Yeah, it was like a half pipe with sleds.
Oh yeah, there's a bobsledding section in that.
There's a whole bobsledding section, and then you get through that bobsledding section, and what does it do but throw you into what I can only even equate to like a downhill section of SSX, where you're getting like avalanches and stuff thrown at you, and it all feels amazing. It feels like you're actually skating on that ice. It feels like anything you're doing in the snow is like working the way it's supposed to. The snow physics where like you're running through snow and it leaves footprints is fantastic. There's a whole windstorm that you have to go through, or snowstorm that you have to go through and like hold on with the magnets, and it just feels like you're getting beaten down by it. The whole level, as far as it goes with snow, is fantastic. And the coup de grace of it all is, you look up when you're in this and you see snow, but you also see the fact it is a snow globe. Yeah. You are 100% in a snow globe, and you look out and you can see everything like going on in the house too. This I really am surprised it only took 9. I kind of expected this to be higher on the list, but I'm still really happy it's here. This is, I think, one of the best snow areas that has ever been created, just for the sheer joy of snow. It brings all the joy that you can get when you go somewhere with snow into like a little section of a game. And yeah.
I mean, it's I love the story elements to it too, you know, like I love the fact that it's supposed to be, it's a snow globe that you got on vacation, right? Like,
yep.
So, and this whole story is basically about, you know, people who are contemplating divorce, and so, you know, they're remembering like, holy crap, we haven't even been on vacation since like their daughter was born. And so like they recognize the mountain because it's like where they last went on like a skiing trip. So they have all these like really fond memories of like being in cabins together and kind of like talking about why they stopped doing that kind of stuff, and you know how they were going to do it in the future. And it kind of, I mean, as somebody who's been divorced, like it really kind of like hit me hard thinking about, you know, some of the stuff that you go through with other people, and you know, like just that you lose along the way. So it like, even though you're having all this fun and like, God, this ice skating felt remarkably good. Like I say, like in some games, like that has no business being that good. Like the controls and the feel of ice skating in that area had no business being that good, because that game has so many like weird little sections with different mechanics that like you don't understand how they can put that level of like good feeling ice skating into just one of the many sections of that game. But it really was spot on. I mean, we just liked ice skating around the whole time. It was a blast.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the level of variety in that game as a whole is staggering, but they just had so much that they packed into that, one like 90-minute section of the game. It was just fantastic. So.
I like when the book says that they need to work on their relationship. You need to work on your relationship.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Hakim.
That's it, Dr. Hakim.
I don't think I don't remember that. It's so funny. Great scenario.
I've been having a lot of fun because Night requests that we play that game at least 3 times a week right now, and we are actually in the snow globe section right now.
Oh,
and
fun.
It has been a ton of fun working through him with
I
that.
think it may be my favorite pure co-op game ever made. I mean, it is so, every section is so good. And the fact that you get those, like, that they built in those, like, great competitive moments in a co-op game that you can just kind of, like, take or go, like, you don't have to do them, or, you can just do them, like, once or twice, or you can, like, sit there and, like, I remember the snowball fight being like a real blast too. Again, no business being nearly as good as it was, but like, you're like ducking under cover and like chucking snowballs at each other. Good vibes.
Yeah, at least we got one game in here with the snowball fight.
Oh, all right. Let's not be bitter, because coming into the next one, I think it might come up.
All right. So moving on for number 9 with Snow Globe. Moving on to number 8, a game that epitomizes cold in video games.
Number 8.
Skyrim. Hunter, why don't you talk to us about snow in Skyrim?
You guys, have y'all ever heard of this game?
No. What's Skyrim?
It's like a small little indie title. It's a bit of a cult following.
I heard you can play it on a pregnancy device.
Yeah, you play. Yeah, I don't know how long. It hasn't been out for very long. I think it only came out on a few things, but plays some dude named like Donovan, and you like say weird things like Fastura, like dragons, and sprint around with like 2,000 pounds worth of like pots and baked goods in your pockets. And yes,
Danishes.
And yes, there's a lot of snow in it. I feel like even when there's not snow, it's snowing. I don't know. So our category was, best snow or ice levels, and somehow the entire game of Skyrim made it into this list. I'm not saying I'm disappointed. We thought about getting Dan on here to talk about this one, but like honestly, I think we all agree we didn't want to listen to him gush for like 30 minutes about Skyrim, because we get to listen to that all the time anyway. Let's say some nice things about Skyrim. It's got really nice looking snow. Like there's like when you are like climbing up some of like the snowy peaks, like the throat of the world. It's really good looking blizzardy snow. Like it's hard to see. And it's really pretty. And if you're Dan, and you like to mod it, you could make the snow even prettier if you want. There's like all kinds of snow mods. You can make it like all glisten in the sun, and and it's got that real nice kind of North Pole, Aurora Borealis, like part of the world
really
vibe
cool.
going on.
It makes you feel like you're like meandering around northern like Scandinavia.
Right. It feels right. Exactly. It feels perfectly said, like Scandinavia. It feels like very much like it's cold, and like if you go really down in like the valleys and stuff, you find some like nice green areas, but like you still like look around and there's just snowy peaks in all directions. There's some buildings I feel like you go into where like there's just big openings in them, and like snow's like coming in like shaft of like moonlight and snow and that kind of stuff. Really
some cool, underground areas that get kind of icy and like kind of spelunking through the
the music in that game also really highlights, I feel like, kind of like the cold atmosphere and kind of like the solitude of just wandering through the wilderness in this like snowy, frigid wasteland, where it's just like, oh.
Yeah, and I just think that the entire atmosphere and vibe of that game, is a big part of the reason why people do like replay it so much, and why it still gets sold on so many different things, and there's so many different editions in it, and so I don't really think that there's not really much reason to bring up much of the game, because like that's its own like 5-hour conversation. But just as far as like it being a good representation of snow in video games, I mean, you always feel like cold like in that world, and there's some places in that game, some locations that still hold up today as just being like they're like 7 wonders of the Skyrim world, where there's just beautiful like snowy scenes with ruins and big buildings, and like there's like a university or like a college that's like covered in snow.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that too.
That's a great spot for the snow.
The Magic College.
Yeah,
up on the cliff or whatever. Yeah,
I'm sure everybody like who's played Skyrim, and didn't play it like I did on a PS3 where it like broke halfway through.
I played it on PS3 also.
Yeah, we all played the same busted ass version of this game.
But the people who got the good versions and really, really loved it, there's just no doubt that if there was going to be a game that qualified as a whole fucking level by itself as the entire game, I guess it needed to be Skyrim. I don't know that I could really think of another one.
The Long Dark. That would be my choice personally, but it's more niche one.
I do think that just in terms of like snow levels by themselves, there might have been a few things left off that I personally would have certainly put ahead of the entire game of Skyrim. But I understand why people put that here and like it. But it's kind of my like it's my like sour games that I don't know even know why I'm talking about it, but I don't know that you guys would be any higher on it than I would be.
Nope.
Which is not to say that Skyrim is a bad game. It's a really good game.
No, it's a great game. But like once we get to the end, maybe we can like mention a few of the honorable mentions and like bring back how they deserve to be here over Skyrim.
All right, we'll have to remember to do that. But moving on from Skyrim talk, at number 7.
Number 7.
we have the Phendrana Drifts from Metroid Prime. I hope I said that right.
You did.
All right, good. Well, Brad, tell us about the Phendrana Drifts.
So Phendrana Drifts is kind of the snow and ice area of Metroid Prime, located on the planet Talon 4. You kind of get there as you're exiting the Magmore Cavern, which is neat because you're kind of underground in these there's some tight spots and it's real cavey and cagey, and you emerge out of that area and the first thing you see is these like sheets of ice that you have to like charge beam through. Right, so you kind of know like what's coming, but you don't, because when you finally kind of come out of there, it like opens up into this like open area, like you're outside again, and it's really neat. And kind of the snow's coming down, and everything's iced over. Ridley, Meta Ridley flies overhead and casts that shadow. Kind of gives you this. Like real vibe there, the Phendrana shoreline is like that opening area. A lot of vibe there. The soundtrack gets quiet and kind of ominous, but it's like almost like that, like you mentioned, that kind of atmospheric, like quiet. You could hear like a stick like crack in the distance over there. Really neat stuff. You'll like start to quickly run into variants of enemies you've already fought, but like in their ice forms, like the baby she-goths that like have these ice plating like on the back that you have to destroy before you can kill them and stuff. Like you'll eventually start you run into the adult she-goth here. That's like this area's mini boss. I believe the adult she-goth serves as the Guardian of the Wave Beam, if I'm not mistaken, here in Phendrana, which is a welcome addition there.
Mm-hmm.
The Sheik Bats are now like ice, and the burrowers are like ice burrowers and ice beetles around here. The boss of the area, Thartarus, is really neat. This area was used by the space pirates to do like these phase-on energy experiments to try to turn inanimate objects into like weapons and stuff. So Thartarus is this giant rock monster. Really, really neat. Like I said, apparently the space pirates were working with like phase-on energy there to like try to create new creatures. It like kind of circles around and hurls these giant like ice rocks at you, like, and also like slam the ground and shoot like a ray of like ice beam. So the boss here is super cool. You need to change like visors in this area, like in that.
Yeah, that was going to be my question for you. Yeah. Is like, is there any like cool visor effects with the ice?
Yeah, they have the thermal vision thing.
Yeah, very much so. The regular visor will start to like ice over too, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like specifically in that boss, you need to find like hot spots on its body that'll tell you like where its weaknesses is, and then you blow those out of the way, and then like you need to switch back and forth between your visors because it starts shooting these like crazy like blizzard like cold attacks at you and stuff. So just a really cool like super solid boss there.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty to do. There's tons of upgrades there. So I mean, if you're kind of a Metroid Prime or like Metroid junkie in general, like if you just love digging in and like bombing things out and like rolling around, there's like a ton of upgrades in this area. But as far as being an ice area, it's really a good one if you ask me. Like every video game kind of needs an ice area, and Metroid usually does it right. And this one especially, when you kind of come out of the cavern and it opens up and it's quiet. It's
so good.
It's really atmospheric and really cool. A lot of people argue some of the best music in Metroid Prime comes out of this area too. A lot going on down there. It's really neat. And at the end, you're rewarded with the spider ball. So
nice.
I think you got to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think early on in this area, you get the boost ball for the first time too, right? Like, because isn't it like drops you down into that like freaking half pipe where you get to use it, like where you're like. going up the sides of that like kind of canyon area. I'm remembering that right, aren't I? I think that's where you get the boost ball.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
With Metroid Prime and Metroid games in general, I think you have to probably go back to this area 3 or 4 times. I think it's at least 3.
And eventually you'll start to see like all the areas where like the baby she-goths were. Now it's like that whole area is like loaded with the adults. Like the mini boss is like everywhere now. It's like
I just remember when it was like time to go back, like when you get the double jump and you're like, oh yeah, now I can get to that spot. And there's just a part
the canyon there, right?
Maybe it's just the snow lover in me, but like I get really giddy thinking about like when it's like time to go back there. I'm like, yes, we get to go back. Like just you're right, because they definitely do that snow area thing, and if you've ever like been out in a ton of snow, like it really is very quiet. Like everything's just very muffled, like sound just goes away. Nice. I love this pig.
Yeah,
nice.
So me too. I dig it. I'm glad to see it here, and I'm happy to talk about it.
I'm embarrassed to say that I've never actually played all the way through Metroid Prime. I started it, and but it was back on Wii when it came out. With
the present, man. That remaster is dying.
I have it. I'm taking it with me when I go on my business trip here in a couple weeks, and I think
you're gonna be hooked, dude. That's
a great job.
That's probably the best. That's one of the best remasters I've ever seen. I mean, it is absolutely stunning. Like it's one of those Switch games you go like, how did they get this to do this on the Switch? Like it looks like it could be on any console. It's so pretty.
It's awesome.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
good.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Recommend.
All right, leaving the Phendrana drifts behind and returning to Mario at number 6.
Number 6.
We have the Cool Mountain from Mario 64. Stands out in my mind as one of the all-time greatest like ice areas ever. But Hunter, why don't you talk us through what you love about Cool Mountain?
I mean, again, Mario games just do snow stuff well, and this is kind of, to me, peak Mario snow stuff for me. This is the game I'm actually a bit surprised to see. I thought this was going to be way closer to number 1, if not number 1 when we first put this out there. I was like, well, Cool Mountain's going to be on here for sure. A lot of people, but I think maybe it's just a demographics issue. I don't know if like as many people are as nostalgic about this as like me and maybe Brian from over at Draft Punks is, and Wes. I mean, sorry, what do you got?
I was just gonna say off of that, like I think for like my
for the youngsters,
for the somewhat youngsters, I remember this level from N64, and I definitely can appreciate what it did for snow levels in the future. I just feel like it's not as... I feel like it's cool, and it's definitely, like, iconic, but I don't think it's the best snow levels ever.
Yeah, okay. So, but this is the thing, is that you had, I think, probably experienced, like, other things like it around the same time that you played it, Yeah. Like, for people who grew up in our generation... It wasn't even just this snow level. It was just Super Mario 64 in its entirety. Like the playing something in 3D in a way that was like really 3D, with a controller that we had never experienced that before, like the going in any direction thing. And Cool Mountain it had all of the great snowy Mario things, but in 3D. I mean, it was like it almost made me cry tears of joy because you slide around on your butt, you slide around on your tummy. Obviously, we can get throwing the baby penguin thing off of the ledge out of the way. That's always a good time, because then you're
its mother.
Yeah. And then you go beat it, and then you go beat its mom's ass, and the butt ice slide race, which has like all of the feel of, again, like kind of a Mario Kart-esque area where you can like make little shortcuts, and
it definitely was
up onto the roof, like the snowy roof, and there's a star up by the chimney.
Yeah.
It was definitely like this level was the basis for Mario Kart 64's Sherbert Land.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely is like they took exactly what they did with Mario 64 and said, yeah, let's make this a level in 64 because it is that good.
Well, and it had, I think I was reminded by it when Wes was mentioning the Mario Odyssey, like the Jingle Bells kind of tune, and Cool Mountain, it's closer to like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, if I remember right. I feel like it almost like was a play on that musically, and I mean, you get to like put a snowman like back together, because it like chases you down a hill, and like the ball is like small and it like gets bigger as it's like, and you're sliding down there. And there's one area where you have to like bang off one of those things and then do the Mario helicopter arms like off of the side of a cliff down to like a hidden area to get a star. It just was like, it's just like looking back on it now, like it doesn't like look great like some of these like newer snow areas, but it just, the originality of it. And the first time I was playing in 3D, and it was really the first experience you had with a 3D game like that, with like a snow level where you're like sliding around. And they knew what they were doing because they were just like, we're just going to make a level that's basically like a giant slide and just let you go sled on your butt and stomach like around everywhere. And you do, like, you basically are just spending like 90% of the time in that level sliding around it, whether it's on the slide racing the penguin or going down the hill. There's very little time that you're actually on your feet. So
yeah, I mean, place and time, it was astounding.
Yeah.
Absolutely astounding. I remember standing at a Toys R Us at a kiosk before the N64 was even out, playing that thing for like 3 hours. This giant TV like hooked up, and I just begged my mom, please, like, go somewhere else, just leave me here. That wasn't, I lived out in the middle of the sticks. We didn't get to do that, like almost ever. And it was the first time I ever even saw an N64, and I was just like,
it's so crazy. When you think about it too, like just another kind of shout out to like the way that they created that level, because most of the levels in Mario 64, like, you start at the bottom and make your way up them. I mean, it's a platforming game, but this is like one of the, I don't remember if there was other ones, but it might be the only level where you start at the top and make your way down, right? Like, and that's just because they wanted you to slippy slide around, they wanted it to be a slippy snow level and ice and stuff, and I think that was a great design choice. And you can throw a damn penguin off of the ledge right in front of its mom.
Yeah, that'll never get old.
No, it doesn't.
Sure.
It doesn't. Like, everybody loves doing that. This, I guess, is the sadist in all of us, but you're just like, see ya.
All right. Well, let's move on then from Cool Mountain number 6 to our number 5 pick.
Number 5.
Number 5, we have Snow Peak Ruins from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Do we have somebody, a guest, to talk to us about Snow Peak Ruins?
Yeah, we actually reached out to, I think, the biggest Twilight Princess fan maybe alive today. Jonah Gomez from the main Great Game Debate podcast. He has been a bit under the weather himself, so he declined to be videotaped, but I know we got a soundbite from him of him giving us his thoughts on Snow Peak Ruins. So I guess we will turn it over to him and then see everybody on the other side of that.
Awesome. Let's hear from Jonah.
Hey, it's Jonah, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about Snow Peak Ruins from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. First off, I just want to say that this is one of the coolest snow levels ever, and it's from one of my favorite Zelda games, Twilight Princess. So without further ado, let's dive into the Snow Peak. First off, I gotta talk about the Yetis, because the Yetis are fantastic. There's a giant one and his wife. And they're just like a super cute, adorable Yeti couple. But the big Yeti, his wife is sick, so you gotta help him create a soup to cure her. So the first time you meet the Yetis, you're at the very tippy top of Snow Peak Mountain, and the big Yeti, I'm spacing on his name, he hits a tree and a frozen leaf falls down, and you get to do the sickest snowboarding mini game that I think I've ever played in a Zelda game. Like, you can get parts of it in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with like snow surfing on your shield, or shield surfing. It doesn't compare to the Twilight Princess snowboard minigame. It rules. But you snowboard from the top of the mountain all the way down to their abode, which happens to be the Snow Peak Ruins. This castle mansion built into the Snow Peak Mountain. It's awesome. You go inside, you see the Yetis right next to a giant cauldron. He's stirring it up and he's making the soup. And so the whole portion of going through the snow level is you trying to collect different ingredients for this soup. And so as Human Link and Wolf Link, you are traversing through this dungeon, which is like a maze, and there's ice creatures and ice obstacles, and you're having to dig under different walls and barriers as Wolf Link, and you're having to move like different cannonballs throughout the different parts of the dungeon to break down giant ice walls and specific ice monsters until you get to the item room and you fight the mini boss. When you get there, you fight a dark nut, but it's a different one. He's got a giant ball and chain, so you use your claw shot to hop over him, and you end up defeating the dark nut, but you don't get a chest like you normally would in other like dungeons. So you walk over to his body and you pick up the ball and chain, and now you have this giant Morning Star style massive ball on this chain, and Link's just swinging it over his head, hurling it at enemies, busting through walls. He can break rocks and ice blocks with it. It's badass. It's super cool. Anyway, you traverse through the dungeon now with your new item, kicking ass, beating all the enemies, breaking all the walls down, opening up new areas to explore. And once you get, I think it's like 5 or 6 ingredients for the soup, you take it back to the Yeti. He puts them all into the soup, and not only does this give you the boss key room to their bedroom, but you also have access to this soup now, which is not only 2 uses per bottle, but it also is a full heal per use. So it's like the best healing item in the game other than a fairy. Proceed to the boss room. You open up the door. It turns out that it's his wife. His wife has been corrupted by one of the Twilight Mirror shards, and you have to defeat her with a really cool boss battle of camera perspective changing, you using the ball and chain to knock her out. Once you essentially cleanse her of the corruption from the Twilight, or the Mirror of Twilight, not only do you get that piece, but when the large Yeti comes in to help rescue his wife, their love is what gives you your next heart container. So that's really sweet. And the nice thing about finishing this level is not only do you get to go back through and do the snowboard minigame as many times as you want and do all these tricks and just see the awesome scenery that they had made for this epic snowboard minigame, but you can also fast travel to the Snow Peak ruins to stock up on this soup because it is there forever now. And so you got, like, say you fill up 2 bottles, that's 4 free full heals. And if that's not worth it, I don't know what is. And my name is Jonah, and that's been my recap of Snow Peak Ruins. Bye.
All right, thank you, Jonah, for that awesome recap of Snow Peak Ruins. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
anybody else have anything cool to add about the area?
I mean, he definitely nailed it with the snowboard stuff. I know there are people who like speed run the fool out of that thing. You know, that's like, it's definitely got a speed run community with that snowboarding. And the only thing I would add is that when you're wolfling, you can dig around in the snow, which is, you know, find chests and stuff that way, which is
oh, really? That's cool.
I mean, who doesn't want to dig in the snow as like a pupper? That's just so good. And again, Nintendo, they make good slippy ice. There's some good slippy ice in that.
A lot of Nintendo on this list for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Right on. All right, well, let's move on to our number 4 spot.
Number 4.
This is for Modi! You put him last, even in death. The fuck you say? Modi sought us in fear of you. He died of the wounds you gave him. Oh, we got a model father here. This feels familiar. What? Don't matter. I could give a hot shit about your fatherly advice.
At number 4, we have Midgard from the God of War series, the 2018 and Ragnarok games. Specifically, this is specifically God of War Ragnarok that we're talking about.
Is it? I'm not sticking just to Ragnarok. I'm sorry, I'm not. Midgard is Midgard.
Okay, I mean that's fine, but there's not that much snow in the first game.
There's
in Midgard.
couple of spots.
I guess there is a little bit.
There's some, yeah.
There's a little bit.
We'll talk. We'll get to it.
That's fine. That's fine. We can talk through it. So I'm mainly going to be coming at it from Ragnarok, because that is the point at which Fimbulwinter has fallen, which is this supposedly like eternal like snowstorm, like the earth basically freezes over, and which is kind of what happens at the end of the first spoiler alert, the first God of War game. After the events of that game, you kind of kick off Winter and everything. You're like, oh, we better get home, and like the snow starts falling and everything starts getting icy, and you know, a couple years later, and yeah, everything is just this frozen hellscape. The Lake of the Nine, which you spend the first game paddling around in a canoe, you can't do that anymore because it's frozen over, and the only way that you can get around is actually with a dog sled team. You got these two wolves that Atreus has adopted, and they end up hooking them up to this big dog sled, and you go just cruising around through the snow all across the lake in a dog sled, which I thought was absolutely rad. Just the opening portion of Ragnarok, where you have that that sort of chase scene, right, where Freya's coming after you, trying to kill you, and you're like trying to get back home on your dog sled and avoid her attacks, and she's like coming at you out of the woods and stuff. It was really, really awesome. You get to fight a giant bear in the snow, which was really fun. I won't say what's going on with that, but that was really cool. And as you're traversing around, you have this big epic fight against Thor kind of at the beginning of the game. And it's just you end up like putting your Leviathan axe up against his Mjolnir hammer, and he's trying to, you know, hit you with a thunderbolt, but you freeze the thunderbolt. So the whole time that you're like cruising around, no matter where you look, there's always this point of reference. Where's the thunderbolt? Because there's a giant thunderbolt that's frozen in ice that's coming down from the sky.
It's super duper cool,
it's
man.
Freaking wicked, man. It's so cool. So, but yeah, basically the whole thing is just like frozen over. There are parts in God of War 1 also where you're traversing through the snow as well. I'm just going to kick it out to the rest of the crew. What are your favorite like snow and ice moments from God of War?
Well, just to bring it right into the first game, I mean, the Stranger boss fight is in the snow, and it's one of the best boss fights of all time. And like this, the amount of just destruction you're doing with like trees. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this: the God of War games has, to me, bar none, the best, most realistic snow deformation of any game. I mean, there are games that do it, and I think they over exaggerate it sometimes, where it's like almost like a cliff edge. Like those games, there was one spot in God of War. God, they do it so well. Like when you're kind of making your way up the mountain, and you have that like they have that about. Big because there's like just a big stretch of just
that goes up.
Exactly, and it's just untouched, pure snow. I mean, it is the most beautiful, like freshly fallen, like looking stretch of powder on a mountain ever. And then you have this just big ass fucking fight right on top of all of it. And as soon as you get done and you look back, it's like all of that snow is just completely just smashed down everywhere. Like every little spot that got touched, like realistically just turned into this just, you know, kind of matted down, like compacted snow. And I'm telling you, it took my breath away. It looked so perfect. Like after, like it was like you took the most pristine snow and then it just looked like somebody had a big battle on top of it. And that's what happened. And I love that spot. I mean, great snow. I mean, I could go on. I mean, just the whole lake, like, you know, the fact that you spend so much time on that lake in the first game. I mean, that's basically where the vast majority of your gameplay is going. And obviously you're kind of changing the water levels, and you know, you become so familiar with it that seeing it all frozen over and snow everywhere, it was perfect. They made that look perfect. And there's one particular scene from Ragnarok that really stands out to me as being really cool, and it's when Atreus like goes back and he's trying to enlist the help of the World Serpent, and the World Serpent just like comes out in like the snowstorm, and it's just like, oh, Man, it looks so cold and thimble wintry out there. I just really like that scene in the snow, the world serpent. So.
Yeah, I also really like the part where Atreus is kind of like on his own, and he ends up back in like Freya's grove, and you find I think her turtle's name is Charlie.
Yep.
And you find
frozen.
Oh yeah.
You find Charlie, and he's basically like freezing to death. And Atreus has to kind of like basically like bust into Freya's house and like start a fire and thaw him out. Otherwise he's gonna die because he's a turtle. He's cold-blooded and he's freezing over, and he's literally freezing over out in this hellacious storm.
Yeah, I really like the area too. I forget the name of it now. It's like one of the worlds, but it's like where all of your your green ravens collect in Ragnarok, and it's like
Svartalheim.
Svartalheim. It's like very like kind of frozen over looking as well, and
I don't think Svartalheim is the dwarven.
Svartalheim is
realm.
dwarven.
That's
yeah.
right, Dwarven.
Yeah, I forget which one it is. Anyway, I always love the look of that area too.
They just did a really good job. I mean, I'm after we've had our discussion before of with shopkeepers and Broken Sindri, I've been going through and actually playing the game, and yeah, it's gorgeous to meander around there and just see all the snow. Even though you kind of go other places pretty quickly, as far as where I am, like I haven't been back to Midgard much, other than to go watch Atreus, go see Freya. But no, it is absolutely amazing.
There's one other place in Midgard from the first game that probably is worth mentioning. It's like where I forget the name of the giant.
The big giant dead body.
The big giant dead dude. That's just
that's where you fight.
Frozen in the snow, and
it's where you fight Baldur.
You fight him there later.
Yeah, at the end of the game.
The first time you fight
on.
him is at your house, you know.
Yeah.
And
you throw him off the ledge and he flicks you off.
Magni and Modi there, I think.
Yeah, Magni and Modi, yeah.
Magni and Modi, you do fight them there, that's true.
You fight a bunch of wolves there. I just remember being like all snowed over and his like face like kind of buried in like snow.
It's like frozen glassy eye. Like giant eye.
I mean, it's just so cool. They do snow better than anybody. I'm telling you, go back and like look at just some fights on that snow peak, and there's probably just videos of people just playing in the snow up there. I know I would do that.
I did that. When you were talking about that one area where it was just like all that fresh snow, I mean, that's immediately came to mind. I knew exactly what you were talking about because I just like ran around in there and like watched the snow deform.
It's so satisfying.
Is that where I'm gonna make sure that's where I'm thinking? This is like right before we get Mimir, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's right up there at the top. Yeah, it's like you come out,
like,
you fought the dragon.
You're supposed to get up to like where you think the gateway to the Giants realm is, and it's like blocked off.
Yeah,
and then you have to find another way.
Before that, after the dragon. The dragon's kind of in the snowy area too, a bit.
Yeah,
it's up the mountain, which is a really cool fight.
Don't you shove an icicle through his head or something? No,
it's a rock. I think it's
it's a rock.
It's like a piece of
there's
the
like
mountain.
There's a whole like thing where like you drop some icicles in the inside, don't you? Like when you're going up the mountain.
Yeah, it's a very cold mountain area, but Midgard, very cool spot.
Yeah, great snow and ice area, and just the dog sledding. Just going back to that, I love it.
You can't.
I love it so much. All right, moving on from Midgard at number 4. At number 3.
Number 3.
We have Mount Wario from Mario Kart 8. And we're going to let the king of the kart himself take this one. Zach, talk us through Mount Wario.
We couldn't get through this list without at least one snow level from some Mario Kart being here. There is so many good ones that they have had throughout the years that like there was absolutely no way that one would make the list, and it just so happened to be literally my favorite course of all time now due to the amount of time I put into learning it in and out. This course is amazing. First off, it's a Wario course, and I'm sorry, the Wario courses throughout the history of Mario Kart have been the best courses. I mean, if I go back to Mario Kart 64, Wario Stadium, that is the one course that if I ever went over to a friend's house to play Mario Kart, we always played Wario Stadium. Mount Wario is in my same repertoire for that now. If I'm playing, I have to play Mount Wario. It's usually that's my favorite course to finish on. A couple of reasons for that. One, it makes you feel like you're dropping out of an airplane onto a snowy slope like you would like going heli skiing or heliboarding. And it's just a fun way to start this is by jumping out of this plane and then you are just going downhill as fast as you can once you get into it. First few corners, you can really get through it with a few good boosts if you have those during the time trial. There's a few really fun kind of jumps that you can skip some good amount of area that every time I do them and I'm playing with new people, they're like, wait, what? There's a jump there that you can take? And once you get out of the first snow area, you get into kind of like some ice caverns, and as you're going through there, you can see some ice flowing down, and there's little ice like ramparts that you'll land on and jump off of until you get back out to the snowy area, which then you get to go do everyone's favorite thing when they go skiing. You get to go ski in the trees because you're just riding on through the trees, which that area of the course, as from a time trial standpoint, is the most infuriating area by far, because you have to be almost frame perfect in that area to get through it cleanly. For the amount of time, or for the really good times that I put in on that course, I have messed up in that area like 25 times before I got a really good one. Because there's like one extremely clean line, and if you do not take it perfectly, you're just going to knock a tree and you'll get spun out, and that adds another 5 to 6 seconds onto your run. But after you get out of that, you get into some nice just like slalom skiing, get down to little moguls, and then you jump off and you're right there down to the finish line. Also, this is one of the few courses that they have out there. I think on Mario Kart 8, I think there's only 4 total courses that do this, but there's not laps. Yeah. It is one complete run from start to finish. And I don't think that needs to be everything. I like the laps, a lot of them. I think for the finish of specifically the Star Cup and this one, it is perfect. You're doing a downhill race, you bust your ass to get down to the bottom, and you finish at a finish line. There's no finishing at like the start of a new lap. No, you are in the winner's circle like when you finish. It's my favorite course of any Mario Kart game at this point. And it's a ton of fun. If you ever want to race me on it, I'm down for a challenge.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
We're not even gonna
do that.
There's no point.
I mean, listen. I went and captured the ghost footage from Zach's best run on this course.
My question, did you do the 150 or the 200? Because I have a best on both of those.
I don't know. It was your time when I looked it up was only like 8 or 9 seconds off of the actual world record. It was insane. Like so. Yeah, it's whichever one I grabbed. It was I did like a time trials one. I don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
Regardless, Zach, like down below us, I guess I don't know, over here, over this way. This is gonna be Zach actually racing on it. I love this course too. Like, you know, it's like they went out and consulted like actual professional skiers to create a track, because it was like, well, what do skiers love? It's like, well, let's like basically heli ski where we're like getting dropped down above the tree line, like up on top of a mountain, and then we're gonna ski through some trees. You know, we're gonna hit some tight corners, and then we're gonna finish it off with like an actual like downhill race. And there's one particular spot on that when you're like kind of like looking down on the village below. That is like one of the best representations of what it looks like to actually ski that I've ever seen in a game, where it's like everything's kind of like down below you. It's like looks like it's really far away, but you know you're going to be down there in like seconds. And I love that about this track. It's so cool. I'm just a little surprised, that out of all of the Mario ones, that this is like above stuff like Cool Mountain. But I get why it's on here, and I do love the fact it doesn't have laps. It would not make sense to have laps.
Everybody loves Mario Kart, no matter how young or old they are. So
I think about like a way they could have done this with laps, and it's like a silly thing. There was another game from the, I believe it was N64 era, that I absolutely loved, called Snowboard Kids, which they had stuff like this, where it was just like racing, you got power-ups and stuff, but you're on a snowboard. And they had it where you get to the bottom and it takes you up on a chairlift all the way to the top. That could have been funny, but no, it's perfect. It does not need that.
You know what? I'm going to do an impromptu thing and say the first person who can send me a better time than what Zach put on this course, I will get them a $50 Nintendo gift card. Just one person. If I can validate that on my Switch and go watch a Mount Wario time better than the one that's playing down here, which I'll put whatever the actual official time is in the description as well, then I think you're deserving of something like that. So that was not, we didn't agree to that ahead of time. I haven't talked to you. I'm like, I want to see somebody beat Zach. I will pay $50 to watch somebody beat his time.
Challenge issued.
Void where prohibited. Must be 18 to enter.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, moving on from Mount Wario number 3 and that awesome impromptu challenge to our number 2 pick.
Number 2.
Castle Canehurst from Bloodborne. Now we're talking, baby. Yes. All right. Nobody better to talk about Castle Canehurst than Hunter. So take it away, sir.
I know Brad might be better than me at this point. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to. This is a double-edged sword, because you're gonna have to cut me off. Like, I could talk about Canehurst for days.
We got 3.5 seconds starting now.
So, definitely, like, in my opinion, the best hidden optional area in any video game ever. Completely missable. I mean, you have to find like a little crack in the wall in the Forbidden Woods, which is already hard to find your way around. You can get lost in the Forbidden Woods in Bloodborne very easily, but there's this one particular little spot on the very unassuming edge of the map where if you go down it, you like find this poison swamp. Like, if you go to like a weird and random corner of it, then there's a little gap there that you could climb up a few ladders. Like, and by ladders, I mean like ladders. We're talking about like Snake Eater level ladders. Do you want to sing, Wes, real quick?
No. I'll spare everybody this time.
We have a rule where every time Snake Eater gets mentioned, especially the ladder, Wes has to sing. But we're going to let him pass. So you climb up some giant ladders, and all of a sudden you find yourself literally back at the beginning of the game. It's just craziest thing, except for you're on the other side of a gate you couldn't get into, and you have access to then climb into Yosefka's clinic, but like on the other side of the door you couldn't get into. And inside of Yosefka's clinic, there's a very missable item that is a Canehurst summons, and it's described as being this very old, like unopened summons to Castle Canehurst, but despite it being very old, it is addressed specifically to you, which is so fucking cool. And so, and it gives you a description of like where you need to go. There's like it says there's like a stagecoach leaving from Hemwick Charnel Lane, and you have to go find this, again, very kind of missable obelisk that is being guarded by some executioners. And, you know, because there's lore implications for why the executioners would be guarding this thing, because, anyway, we'll get to that if we have time. Stagecoach shows up. The horses, like, look dead. The stagecoach looks like beat to hell. One of the things I love about it is the door to the stagecoach opens for you. And anybody who's played any Soul games know that, like, you open all the doors. Like, they have great door opening animations. You push them open, and you pull them open. With Canehurst, the stagecoach door opens for you because you've been summoned. The castle gates open for you, and even the door to the castle itself, they all open for you, which is very different from everything else in the game. And but when you show up to Canehurst, that, like, Bloodborne has very few cutscenes, and they're never dialogue heavy. You know, there's storytelling in Souls games and in Bloodborne especially. You know, all of it's environmental. All of it is through gameplay and in the environment. But you have this shot of you kind of rolling up the snowy mountain. You've got, like, Canehurst in the background, the castle. You know, it's all snowy and covered. And when you pull up to the gate, you get out of the stagecoach, your horses are dead. Like, they've been dead there for 100 years. You go inside. I remember when we went inside, we were doing Bradborn too. It was one of my favorite. I knew Brad was going to love this area. And
yeah, because it's just like Castlevania, basically.
It is. And, like,
Oh yeah.
Like Frozen over Castlevania.
I'm going to be playing while on the habit this time of showing the gameplay from people. I'm gonna put Bradborn's gameplay on here.
Nice.
So what you're watching is going to be Brad playing for the most part. I remember when we first got there, he was, like, right about to level. He was like, I'm just going to beat a couple of enemies and, like, level up. But the first thing you encounter at Castle Canehurst is the Bloodlickers. You know, these just gnarly looking, like, flea, like, blood-filled, like, tick people. Oh, they're the creepiest
enemies in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Outside of the boss of the area, also, for sure, one of, if not the hardest enemy. Like, most of the enemies at Canehurst actually aren't that difficult, which I think is, like, a fascinating part about that area is that, and the Bloodlickers are tough, you know, but once you get past them, and, like, it's so snowy, it just looks so cold, and you got those worms down there, which are kind of a pain in the ass. Once you get into the castle, most of the enemies aren't really that dangerous, you know? Like, you're greeted first by an enemy, which is like a Canehurst servant, who's just, like, cleaning the floor. And one of the reasons, like, lore-wise, he's cleaning the floor is because there was a massive, like, essentially just massacre that occurred at this castle. Like, all of the people there were killed by the executioners. The ghosts who show up, like, their throats are slit, their hands are bound, like, they were executed. And so these people are cleaning up all of this blood for, like, hundreds of years. And man, I really could just go on and on. Like, it's the rooftops. Like, video games have never been shy about letting you get on roofs. These are some of the best rooftops. I mean, they're covered in snow. You're, like, running around, you're fighting these gargoyles. And then it's all just capped off by this amazing, probably one of the best boss fights in the game. It's so damn hard. And Marta Ligarius, who's basically there he was trying to essentially kill the Vile Bloods. That's who lived at Canehurst Castle. And he's essentially trying to, like, hide the fact of the Vile Bloods from the world, you know. So, God, watching Brad do that fight like 40 times and struggle with it so much. And then he had one fight where it looked like he had never struggled with a game in his life. It was, like, the best. Like, he did better at that fight in the time he beat Ligarius than I've ever done. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, that's amongst, like, you know, the best of that game for sure. Like, that boss is incredible.
Yeah. And everybody, I think, jumps right to Eileen the Crow as, like, one of their favorite quest lines in the game. And don't get me wrong, that's an amazing one. But I think some people actually do kind of miss out on the full Alfred quest line. And the the way that quest line ends at Canehurst Castle is just one of the best, most rewarding things, So Alfred is essentially like worships Master Ligarius, calls him Master Ligarius, and after you've actually beaten Ligarius, and you go up and you talk to Annalise, who's the Queen of the Vilebloods, who, by the way, has a seat next to her for the king, and she does refer to we believe this, so it's almost like he's still there, even though you never see him. But once you get up there, you can get an unopened, unaddressed summons, which you can give to Alfred. And he comes back up there with his wheel, and he absolutely smashes Annalise into just a bloody, pulpy mess, which in the best way possible, you can go collect some of, and you can carry around just a piece of, and Annalise is immortal, so she's not dead, she's just alive as a smashed up person, and you can carry around a part of her living body with you in your pocket. So cool.
Which you can restore later, right?
Yes, there's actually, I think a lot of people think that there's a part that was kind of cut out of that, because you actually do revive her down at the Daughter of Abretus fight. There's a kind of like a Rom figure nearby that you can go and revive, and it almost looks like it's going to go to a cutscene, but then it doesn't, and there's no real explanation for why she shows back up. But yeah, you can bring her back to the castle after that, which basically, if you know the quest line, I'm sorry, this is a lot of spoilers for Bloodborne, but Annalise is right back on her throne like she always was, and at that point Alfred has killed himself because he wanted to end as a martyr with Ligarius, completing his task. He thought he completed his task, and you just undo it.
I'll say that actually seeing Brad play through this area got me to go back and play through all of Bloodborne.
It's just so unbelievable.
It was really, really good. I wanted to get back there, and I wanted to go fight Father Ligarius myself. So
some of my favorite items in the game, Ryder Palash is in there. The Evelyn is in there. It's such a good pistol. It's the one I always replace mine with when I get it, because it's just a little bit more damage. It looks cool.
Whenever I go back to play that game again, I don't know if I'm ever going to not be able to do a build that can use that.
You said I had to cut you off, so I'm gonna.
I told you you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah. I'm taking the responsibility now. You have 1 more minute for any last place thoughts about Castle Canehurst. It's a badass area. I love talking about it, but we got one more spot.
Yeah. I actually managed to get through a lot of what I wanted to say about it. So you could get really, really deep into the lore and where the Vilebloods came from. It's basically people who took forbidden blood from Bergenworth, and that's why the Healing Church is their sworn enemies. Alfred and Ligarius were from the Healing Church, and that's why this entire massacre there took place. It's what I'll say is it is some of the best storytelling through gameplay and atmosphere of all time. Just the fact that there are these ghosts that are still present in the castle that have all been slain, essentially, and there's these servants who are still wandering around trying to clean up the place from this. There's one room where there's these tables with just stuff destroyed everywhere. There's signs of massive struggle in this castle everywhere you look, and the fact that it has this giant section of it that just gets revealed, that was hidden to you after you beat the boss. And the boss fight's just so good. It's just one of the best. And seeing people, get over the hump with that one is always satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great area. If you haven't played Bloodborne, you should. And if you have played it and haven't gone to Castle Canehurst, better go back and do it. So, all right, moving on to our number 1 spot.
Number 1.
At number 1, we have Shadow Moses Island from the Metal Gear Solid series. And this is a great number 1 pick, I think.
Yeah.
I'm really happy the community landed on this. Brad, as a big Metal Gear Solid nut, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. But yeah, let's go.
Firstly, I want to say that I wouldn't be here without Metal Gear Solid. I wouldn't. At the time, when it came out, I was a senior in high school. I think like most of us were really worried about one thing, and it wasn't video games. N64 was out. It didn't do almost anything for me. Like I didn't catch on fast. Like I thought my time with like video games was over. I didn't enjoy Mario 64. I didn't even enjoy Ocarina of Time. Castlevania 64 like scared the living shit out of me. So like I was almost out of video games here. I wasn't thrilled with the 3D thing. Too many buttons. One day I'm over at my friend Mark's place, and he lights up Metal Gear Solid. And not sure if I've ever mentioned this on the show, but I started my video game journey like day one with my NES came Metal Gear for NES. So it was like really neat for me to see like this world that I hadn't really even discussed with any friends. I didn't know. For me, it was like this obscure Nintendo game, like come to life on like a 3D console. The people who know me know I'm a big movie guy, right? Perhaps a bigger movie guy than I am a video game guy. But it was really awesome to see like something I already knew, like, and then Kojima just turned it into this like action movie. For like a 17, 18-year-old kid like who's into action movies, this was like, okay, like video games are still cool. Like I can do this. I got a PlayStation 1 and I'm ever since I've been playing video games. So like just starting there, this game is incredibly important to me. So I was thinking like, how do I approach like Shadow Moses? It's like approaching Skyrim, right? It's basically the entire map of the game, unless you consider the fact that like most of this game is spent like inside a facility, kind of crawling under tanks and through air ducts and things. So the very first thing we see, when do we see the snowy environment? Like when do we get to see that first is when we're coming up out of the elevator, right? And the little credits are running, and we've never seen this in a video game before, and we're all kind of standing there or sitting there with our jaws dropped. And then you get this beautiful little like vertical slice of the game right away, right? You come out of the elevator, you take a codec call, and they kind of point out a couple of key places in this helicopter hangar area where you first see the Hind D. You get a short cut scene there. And then they just kind of turn you loose. And, it's like the first time I recall an enemy responding to like me leaving footprints, right? Like how neat was that? Like for the first time where you're like maybe like doing circles around boxes, and then you realize that the enemy recognizes your footprints in the snow and starts to like Kojima really did like incorporate the snow and ice like into this map, which was really cool. And it like kind of like you've never seen a video game do this stuff before, which is cool. And I think it's neat that like the snowy part of this has a lot to do with it. After that, you sneak into the tank hangar there. You end up sneaking around the facility, a little more tutorial kind of stuff, up and down the elevators. And then eventually you get to Ocelot. Afterwards, you kind of sneak up back through that laser, the laser gridded hangar doors there, and you end up opening up into that area where you first meet Vulcan Raven in the tank.
At the tank, yeah.
Hell yeah. And the snow's coming down, and you're lobbing grenades at this thing, and it's.
Doesn't he have his shirt off? He's like,
yeah. I think he got
sticking up out of the tank, like
tattoos and just rah. So anyway, you get through that, and then you spend like at least a good hour, 2 hours, like hanging around in that nuclear storage area until you get down to the bottom and you fight Psycho Mantis, right? And that's when you first kind of hook up with Meryl. Like you see her around, but excuse me. Still trying to get my voice together here, but anyway, you beat Psycho Mantis and he moves that bookshelf, right? And you end up in that cave area with Meryl, right? And there's like that family of wolves, and parts of it are kind of in the cave and parts of the outside, and real snowy and cold, like really quiet in there, right? You can hear your footprints really well. And that's like some really cool environmental storytelling there. It's like after you've been through this like high stress, like sneak and stab through this, through that building, and then it all culminates with Psycho Mantis, and then all of a sudden it's quiet again. And then you step out, once you get through that area, you step out into that choke point where Meryl gets shot, right? Sniper Wolf
fight.
Yeah. Sniper Wolf's waiting up in there and takes Meryl down and uses her for bait. And then you have to backtrack all the way back to the tank hangar for the PSG-1, right? What's neat there too is like as soon as you like get back through that door, like that family of wolves is no longer friendly to you, right? They're like up your ass now unless you have like I think it's like Cardboard Box B like carries her scent. So you can kind of get around. But yeah, I always thought that was kind of neat. It was like, as soon as she's not in tow, it's like these wolves, like, they're not having like any part of you, which is kind of neat, And then, of course, once you get through, you get the gun, you come back and you go through the whole torture scene with Ocelot and all that. But another really cool area there is kind of the communications tower, right? Where you wind all the way up and you get out onto that like bridge, and Liquid comes after you with the Hind D, right? And so you're running through this like outdoor like bridge area, and the snow's like coming in like crazy, and Liquid keeps popping up behind corners. It's like I've got you now, So super cool, and like and of course. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. Of course, what really like as far as this being like a snow level, it all kind of you get the very best of that in the Sniper Wolf fight. Because it's like the blizzard is there and she's shooting at you and you have no idea where the hell it's coming from, and like the snow like in this moment causes this like chaos. And really, really good bit of, environmental storytelling there, having the environment itself, like, kind of add the tension to the battle, which is super cool. Wes, did you have any more to say about Sniper Wolf?
A little bit. I'm glad that you came back to that, actually, because I think that's one of the best parts that sort of, like, features the snow and the ice. And they do, and not only in Metal Gear Solid 1, but also in Metal Gear Solid 4, because you come back to Shadow Moses Island and you have to fight. You have to basically
the acoustic guitar now.
You have to basically redo that fight against Screaming Wolf, I think. And except there's a whole bunch of other soldiers that are there as well, and you have to use your solid eye basically because there's like a blizzard going on,
right?
So that you can like pick up body heat from the other soldiers, and it's really, really cool. I just love that.
That part in you're like the return in Metal Gear Solid 4, like when you're like right out front there, is like one of the best nostalgia pulls ever. Because I'm with you, Brad. Like when you're talking about like. It was the first video game that looked like I was about to play an action movie. Like you were spot on there. Like when you have like the credits and like doing like these like camera shots, like looking up the elevator, like, and it's you're watching
like the first time I had seen someone take a video game so seriously before, and I was like, okay, like video games are going to be adult. Like I am going to be able to like enjoy this again. Of course, eventually I circled back to the N64 and played all those classics. But at the time, it just wasn't doing it for me, and this game did. And the environment of Shadow Moses has a lot to do with that. Yeah. And Wes is absolutely right. Heading back in Metal Gear Solid 4 was, like you said, Hunter, a big nostalgia hit, and almost like tears to my eyes when they did it. It was like, oh, I can't believe you can do that,
Frozen tears.
I remember the first time I went back there, the right off the bat, first thing I did was like lay down in the snow and just set my camo to look like snow. and it was just perfect.
Yeah, you fight those geckos like right off the bat, right? They're like looking for you.
Yeah. God, those things were so cool looking in the snow too. And I feel like we would be doing a disservice to previous episodes if we didn't call back the bromance, like riding off into the sunset on the snowmobile.
At the end of that game, yeah.
I was actually going to bring that up. So
I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad you did. And also, it's cool how like they kind of included like some of the Snake. Snake had been living in Alaska, kind of semi like retired or at the time. Kind of cool how they weave the kind of the connection to the natives of the region. Dog sledding and all that. Thought that was really neat, kind of cold weather lore there.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me too. Those games, because it maybe was for most people it was probably the first Metal Gear game they ever played. Maybe your second. But like looking back on it,
for me,
like chronologically timeline wise, it's like what? It's like 7th or something. It's like way down. It's way down the story. It's like you're basically playing close to the end of that entire.
Well, what came after it? Metal Gear 2 and Rising. I think that's it. Oh, and 4, right?
And 4,
so
yeah. Basically everything else.
Of the Metal Gear canon is prior to it.
Yeah, it's
correct.
so cool. I mean, that's Kojima for you. I feel like a bit called out, and almost owe Skyrim an apology because you mentioned it like could be considered the entire game. It's like Metal Gear Solid the game. You could have just called it Metal Gear Solid the game, and it probably would count too. As being Shadow Moses basically is the entire first game.
It is the entire game, right?
So sorry, Skyrim.
Like as far as it being like an ice, like and snow level, really, it's only the exterior. So I kind of tried to stick to that.
That like being able to switch from the like isometric camera to like hugging a wall and like looking and actually being able to see the 3D environment too.
Oh yeah.
God, that was so cool looking.
Yeah.
And the snow especially. It's just such good looking snow for a PS1 game.
All right, I'm going to cut you off again because we have honorable mentions that you guys wanted to mention, and we are not going to have time if we don't recap this list right now.
Let's do it. Yeah, good list.
All right, so our top 10 snow and ice levels, starting at number 10, the Snow Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey. Number 9, the Snow Globe from It Takes Two. Number 8, the whole of Skyrim. Number 7, the Thendrana Drifts from Metroid Prime. Number 6, Cool Mountain from Mario 64. Number 5, the Snow Peak Ruins from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Thank you, Jonah. Number 4, Midgard from the God of War games. Number 3, Mount Wario from Mario Kart 8. Number 2, Castle Canehurst from Bloodborne. And number 1, Shadow Moses Island from Metal Gear Solid. That is a solid list, for sure.
Nice job.
Thank you guys for voting.
Love it.
So in the next 3 minutes, what are your honorable mentions?
Why don't you just say yours? We know you have one.
I love the beginning opening section of The Last of Us Part 2 in Wyoming, and riding the horse through the snow and getting a snowball fight in town. It's super cozy, and it's a really cool way, I thought, to do a tutorial with the kind of like hiding and shooting using snowball fight with kids. I thought that was really neat, and I would have loved to see it on the list, but this is a great list without it too. So
yeah, I forget there was definitely at least one other one that I think I was very surprised kind of got pushed out at the end. I can't remember what it was now. I personally sorry, go ahead.
For me, it would have been Icicle Inn.
Yeah, I don't know that one was really like there. There was definitely one that was.
It was not close, but it's just kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I was pulling. I didn't know if it was gonna make it, but Narsh from Final Fantasy VI. Not only is it like, the whole like beginning of the game, but like you go back there for so much more cool stuff. Like Umaro's hiding out around there. I love how he like pops out of like little spaces and then retreats back into the caves. Like that was always a big time fun one for me.
I think the Grizzlies got close to being in it. Definitely one of my favorite areas. I know people don't really love like necessarily the start of the game. I did, but I mean, one of the best places to go back to, like if you're just looking to like chill out, do some like hunting, fishing, exploring kind of stuff. And I mean, geez, some great snow. The way the snow like gets brushed off the trees and like accumulates on your horse. I mean, as far as like just feeling like you're in actual snow, it's definitely right up there with like God of War. It's so cool.
It was a lot of really difficult decisions to try to pare down to get even my top 5. There was just so many really, really good options in the list of the nominees. So.
I want to also give a quick shout out to walking through like a just partially frozen like river stream in that Jackson segment in The Last of Us. Definitely one of the coolest snow and ice things I've ever seen, when like the very thin ice like breaks up around your horse's legs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
God, I love little moments like that. It was like one of those little Naughty Dog details. It's like they just put in for nobody would have cared if they didn't have just the thin layer of ice like crack up and like float down the river, but they absolutely nailed what that looks like.
Yeah, I know, it's awesome.
Kings of detail for sure. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our Gaiden Top 10 for this month. Next month, we have a pretty unique topic, and I was actually not involved in the decision on this topic because I actually have a short announcement. I won't be on the next episode. I've got a business trip coming up, and I won't be available the back half of January to record. So we will likely have a guest coming on, and Hunter will take over the hosting of the show in the meantime. But when do you guys care to announce what you guys are going to be doing next month?
I'll take it.
Yeah,
so what we're doing is we're looking to do peripherals here. So we've titled it Top 10. We had a hard time kind of narrowing down how we were going to word this, but Top 10 non-controller video game peripherals. We're talking
like
about
non-standard controller.
Right. So we're talking, Game Genie. We're talking, anything. Power Glove. There you go. Power Pad. It doesn't have to be on the
Super Scope 6, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Super Scope 6.
Buzz TV buzzers.
I mean,
those things are great. That's a good call. Yeah.
And
you can
very niche though, Hunter.
The original Game Boy, you wouldn't believe too. Like there's like a sonar device for the original Game Boy. Like there's monstrosities that you can plug a.
You still have it.
Got it right here next to me, dude.
Yeah. So I think we can find some fun stuff through the generations. Video game consoles have never been without their kind of side pieces and gimmicky, pieces of hardware that just make things more fun.
And I want to preface this, or not preface. I want to just add to this that we're not. I don't think we're looking for like most useful. Okay.
No.
Like it's basically just stuff that you love that. You can love for any weird reason. It doesn't have to like have been functionally great, because I think we can all agree, most of that stuff doesn't. Aside from like the Buzz TV things, it's hard to actually think of a lot of weird gimmicky peripherals that actually did work well, or like lasted very long. But God, there's some really just great attempts out there that are gonna be fun to hear about. So.
Yeah, so bring your wacky game peripherals.
Yes, and we have to have our, footnote for Steven. Maybe let's leave out like, adult-related.
Oh, Jesus.
Or whatever it is you can think of. Like, we don't want whatever you're like, whatever you
your leisure shoot, Larry.
Yeah, your weird like VR, like dry humping controller or whatever it is that you have. I don't know. I'm not saying he has it.
All
I'm
right.
just saying. I'm saying maybe let's leave the porn stuff out there. We don't look, we cuss, but we don't want to I don't want to put up like a video of like porn peripherals. So non-porn.
Non-porn.
Thank you for that. For that.
I felt like it needed to be said. I'm sorry.
Excellent clarification, Hunter. We all appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Indies Nuts. All right. Welcome back. It's time again for Indies Nuts, the segment of the show where we all have a mini game club discussion about an indie game that one of us chooses. We all play through it, and we come back together and talk about it. This month's game was Gorogoa, picked by Zach, which is a puzzle game that it's a short puzzle game. You can play on pretty much anything, including mobile. So Zach, why don't you kick off the discussion about Gorogoa?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a game that I had heard about numerous years ago and was really intrigued by the concept of it, because every single frame is hand drawn and then was entered into was digitally added to the game itself. So you can really see a lot of this hand drawn aspect. It feels like it's really just artwork you're looking at. Nothing looks digitally created because it's not. The real reason for this is because the singular guy who created this game, because it was only one developer, originally created this as a failed attempt at an interactive graphic novel. It was originally meant to be a graphic novel talking about a boy getting older and reflecting on his past as he gets older, which we do see throughout the game when you kind of see him like contemplating on like the fall, or like seeing him as like an older, not a kid, but seeing him as older, and he's like a bit depressed, and we get to him as an old man, and he's like looking back, and he gets to find some more information, and he gets to like come to kind of grips with what happened to him as a child.
Is it the same person? That's what it's supposed to be, the same person
Yep.
through the whole thing? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't really get that. So
I'm pretty sure I just learned that just now.
Yeah. Every single one of those people, the boy, the young adult, the man, and then the older gentleman, that's all the same person throughout the game. And he's supposed to be reflecting on his search for the Gorogoa, for this like mythical being that he saw as a kid. And he's coming to realizations of it as he's getting older. Seems like he went through some struggles as well. It looks like there was war that broke out in the city, and so he has to come to grips with how the wars affected everything, and how he survived through that. It's got a little bit of like a maybe an overcoming depressive thoughts and like learning to accept them vibe as well. But yeah, I when I found out about this game numerous years back, I definitely wanted to play it, and I got it probably about the year after it came out and played it for the first time, and probably spent about 2.5-3 hours getting through it and loved it. Just in the fact that it was just a short puzzle game. It was really, really well done. It was really cool to see how this singular guy had drawn all of this artwork that somehow fit together perfectly. And I know that caused some of the struggles with some of the puzzles, but that's what I think made this game so fantastic. I was really happy to share this with all of you guys. It's just a really fun game. It's really quick and easy. I didn't want to, with all of the hecticness of the holidays and everything going on, I wanted something that would be a little bit lighter and just something you could kind of do on your own time. So I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, for one guy to do this, like, this is a masterpiece of a single person created piece of art, like, in gaming. Just incredibly beautiful artwork. And I do think that I remember seeing that, like they're like, yeah, he like actually like has this artwork like on pages, right? Like, this isn't like digitally created. This is literally made on paper with different medium artwork, which
it exists.
It tickles my studio art bone. something fierce. It's like funny to hear that it was I guess to come to the realization that you were that, like that person was like you the entire time across time, and I guess you were like solving things for yourself across time. Like now I feel like I was like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, like literally pushing books around to communicate with my past self. And before that I thought I was just just trying to track down a kaiju and give him a nice fruit basket or something. I don't know what I thought.
Trying to find the Gorogoa, divine, supposedly like a divine monster.
I mean, it was very cool looking.
I
It's like a big peacock. I thought I was like, is this some sort of peacock? What is this? I don't.
It's like it's more like a giant, colorful seahorse to me.
Yeah, I guess I could see it that way. What Zach said is important too. Kind of just the way it all snaps together. Like, so obviously, the majority of your heart wants to gush about like the artwork and the thought process and the fact that this is a hand-drawn work of art here. Like the way it works and the way it snaps together is also incredibly impressive. Like, so we're not just talking about like a feat of like art here. We're talking like a pretty technical little game for something that's on Kindle devices. With something that you could flip onto an iPad or a Switch or a $5,000 gaming PC, my ass. But like just the feat in how it works was really impressive to me. Kind of like, the thought process and how it was all going to snap together is a giant part of it, which I think is super neat. The game's like super kinetic, which is was really exciting to me. I felt like I was you get like a childlike feeling when you play with something that like a ball rolls, or like like you feel like you're playing with a toy like on Christmas morning again in that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for those that maybe aren't watching the video version, because I'm sure we'll have gameplay up from the video version, for the audio listeners who haven't played this game, the game takes place in kind of like a 4x4 like square grid, and there's different pictures, and sometimes you start with one picture and you take that picture and you click on it and you can slide it down to the next grid, and there's another picture that was behind that picture, and then you can click on part of the picture that you slid down and it will zoom in on the landscape to another part of the picture, and then you can take a piece of that picture and scoot it over into the other empty grid, and then you can take a part of that and slide it over it. So there's a lot of like rotating pictures, and it's just pointing and clicking on stuff, zooming in and out and sliding things around to see how stuff either combines. And sometimes if you combine two pictures together the right way, you'll make a new picture, or you'll extend the scenery. So the kid that's walking across who got to the end of his picture, he can keep going over onto the picture on the other side of the next grid and make it to the door that's over there and move the scene along. So from that aspect, I think it's really smart. And it kind of boggles my mind to think about how somebody thought through all these scenarios, how they could connect together. That part is really, really impressive. Yeah. The part that I have a little bit more of a qualm with, as far as being a puzzle game, is I feel like most of the actual puzzling is trial and error in a lot of ways. At least it was for me. Yeah. And just sliding things around until I, figured out how something fit together. And I wish that the puzzles themselves were maybe a little bit more intuitive sometimes on what you were supposed to do, because a lot of times I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was just clicking on things until something happened to work.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else. No, I think there was a decent amount of that for sure, but there were also some really great kind of like, aha, like puzzle moments, where you might have like, because you're working with these 4 frames, like you might have like seen like a certain like edge of something, and then like your brain like matched it to something you had seen somewhere else, like in another picture, and you're like, like and then you would go like navigate back to that one, and when they would like connect and like do something, you'd go, my brain just did the puzzle thing, and it's like literally putting together like puzzle pieces at that point, because you're basically making, there was like one example where there was like a palace, in the background of something, and there was like a desert, and I was like, there was no reason other than the fact that you could kind of see like stuff matching up that would lead you to putting those together, like outside of the trial and error. Because yes, most of the time I was doing the same thing. I mean, as soon as I got like a new frame, like the first thing I did with it was like see if I could drag something off of it, or if there was going to be like a hole or like a piece missing, because sometimes you move pieces and you could see that it was like a transparent background where you could like move like like a light or something over something else. You go, okay, I know now that I need to be looking for something in another picture about that size that I could just fit that over, so that was like always step one, was like just drag it around to see what it did.
There were a lot of there were a couple of instances where I definitely could tell, okay, this is what I need to do here, and this is where I need to do, move this over here. Oh, and that like connects the gears. Now the gears are turning for this one thing. Like I got that, but I really got stuck on a couple of the puzzles where I just flat out didn't know what to do. I didn't understand what it was. Oh, and it ended up I have to go out of this frame, zoom it out, go over here, zoom in on something else, and then
which one you're talking about.
and like it really got a little bit abstract, right, as far as where you're supposed to go to get to the next thing that you connect. There were some really good ones that I really did like. The ones that stand out for me were the ones where the rock was falling. And you have to quickly move the thing
that's
around.
My favorite. That's
so
my
that
favorite one.
So it smashes the vase.
And you had to, there was like a timing component with that where, like, while it's in this frame, you have to do stuff over here. So it was like the pressure was on to like kind of get to where you needed it to be. And I think that was my favorite puzzle too. That one really did stand out to me.
That one was cool. And I liked the one towards the end as well with the train. Where you're moving along the tracks, and then you get to the end, and then you change the perspective to change the size. So that the kid like can fit through the little door and get into the next area.
And the ladders.
That I thought was pretty cool too.
I really like the one where you have to set the clock on the tower to be the correct time, because it involves matching up to 2 frames to make a boiler like boil up to get enough pressure to move one of the, I think it was the hours hand over, and then you have another one which is a compass that you have to get to like point towards the star, and it's like, and then you have to get those to match up. There are a few good ones there. I do agree that the first time playing through this game, there are some puzzles that you will just kind of get confused on, like, well, where the hell do I go from here? I think they do a good job of, at least, like, you can click off to the side if you're not clicking on anything specific, and it will kind of ding you to tell you, like, these are the items you need to focus on. So they try to keep you moving forward.
You can turn that option off, and I was like, I don't know why a first timer would put themselves to the torture of not knowing what things they could click on, and that was a good decision to add that, because like the puzzle that Wes was describing as being kind of frustrating, I'm sure it was the same one that I did, where it was like, man, you got to click like into details that are into details that are into details to like even get, and it's almost hard to see what you're supposed to be looking at.
Which I'm curious which puzzle y'all are talking about, as I've played it through like 4 times now. So
I got most stuck on one of the gear ones where I just did not realize that I could click into like even finer detail on like some weird, it almost looked like a rose window or something I was looking at, and I was like, oh, I can click into the window too. I just forever didn't realize I could go that far into a picture, which is really cool, but it was like, I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
There was one that I also had a similar experience with. It wasn't that one, but I don't remember which one it was, but there was one that I didn't realize that I could click into further.
Yeah.
So I was like searching around. I'm like, I've done everything. I don't understand. And then I just happened to click on it by accident, and it like, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, when did I know that I could click in? I think I probably wouldn't have had that problem if I wasn't playing on Switch, because I think with the mouse, you could probably more easily like select parts of the screen, and it would like change the icon right into like the hand that you can touch and move stuff in and out.
That's why, like, when I played it on Switch, I actually used the touch screen, which I think we joked about that of putting tons of fingerprints on your screen by doing that. But
even with that, the problem wasn't the problem was really more highlighting the area to see that I could actually interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't actually clicking on it. It was figuring out that I could click on it.
Yeah.
Definitely, I played this on Steam with a mouse, and I feel like in general that's probably the way to go. You know, it's. I think that probably sped me up quite a bit, made it a lot easier to navigate it. Anyway, did y'all play the demo afterwards? Like, do like the
2012 one? Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't do that.
After you beat it, they give you like do you want to play the original 2012 demo? And there's some differences to it. I actually really enjoyed that because it was a lot less of that like weird puzzle frustration and more of just like a kind of like telling a story. Of course, it was easier probably because some of the puzzles were the same and you like already know what to do. But it felt like it was a little bit just more straightforward. You know, it's like a proof of concept kind of thing. And it was really cool. And the fact that you get like a few different pieces of artwork to look at is really nice because I mean that's a real highlight, seeing the artwork.
Yeah, the art's great.
Very cool.
That's a theme for us with the we tend to do that a lot in the Indies Nuts, is we pick some real fun to look at video games, you know, just really, really good looking stuff between like that and Grease and Turnip Boy.
Hey,
Grease is gorgeous.
The new Turnip Boy game is out next month. I don't know.
I know. I'm definitely gonna play it. I love that game.
My daughter is so excited about that. Not to turn this into a conversation about Turnip Boy, but
yeah, we'll digress into that. Maybe we'll have to put that back on the list when it's my turn.
Norco, not a great looking video game.
Dude, I love the way Norco looked. I thought it was.
It's good looking, but it's like it's almost like grungy and gritty.
Dude, it was like so purposefully like that. I loved it. It was it made you want to kind of look away at times, but it was
one other small criticism I had with this game was just with the music and just how little of it there was, and like the sound effects and the music kind of really only changed when you like move the scenario along or move the puzzle along, which is fine. But I liked what I heard. I just wish there was more of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, something to kind of like keep me keyed in. It was like a little too quiet, I thought.
I see.
I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, it's a nice short little video game. Definitely, I think, you know, especially right now, I think it's like $5 on Steam or something. I think it's definitely worth that. Just to cycle even through the art, you know, and some of the puzzles are satisfying. So,
yeah.
And if you're wanting to save the $5 and just watch it, we do have a kind of let's play of it up, so you can go and check that out. I ran through it in about half an hour, so you get through all of it in a pretty quick amount of time.
Yeah.
Everybody want to give their score real quick?
Sure.
Starting with Brad.
I had a good time with it. I appreciated it and the way it worked, and it was really pretty. I think like Wes, you know, maybe like I could use a little more of it, even though I am also a big proponent of tight little experiences, you know, so I do appreciate that about it. For what it is, I'll give it a 7.5. I had a good time.
All right, what about you, Hunter?
I'll give it an 8.5. I mean,
wow, that's pretty good.
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, like, nice slice of something just entirely unique. You know, I mean, this was unlike anything I'd ever played, and conceptually, you know, for one person to be able to pull that together and the amount of time that they spent doing that, you know, like, I mean, this person worked on this game forever, and that level of commitment and getting it to the place that it's at where it works and is enjoyable, like, just out of sheer respect for that, you know, I'm going to give that as an 8.5. I think it's absolutely something that people should experience, even if it's just watching Zach run through it. It's just, there's just nothing else out there like it. So I respect it. I'm going to give it a 0.5 bump for just respecting what that dude accomplished with this.
All right. Press X to pay respects. As for myself, I think I'm gonna give it a 7. I'll be the sourpuss here, I guess. I think that I agree. This is a very unique game. The art is gorgeous and beautiful. I also respect very much the fact that it was made by one person. And like I said, the scenarios are pretty insane. Just how somebody could conceptualize how everything like pieced together the way it is. The problem that I had with it was I didn't have fun playing it. I felt like it, because the puzzles weren't it was, like I mentioned, very trial and error for me in a lot of the coming to the solutions, and I would have just wished it was a little bit more intuitive, and that kind of drug it down in terms of the experience for me. Thankfully, it's not a very long game. If it was much longer, I think that would have made it worse for me, but definitely not a bad game at all, and I would definitely recommend it for people that like puzzle games to give it a shot, especially considering it's very inexpensive and it's very short. Yeah, I just wish I had a better time playing through it. So, and Zach, as the one who recommended the game, you get the honors of giving your score last.
Yeah. I'm at the same spot as Hunter. I had this as an 8.5. This, like I said, this is a game that I was following before it even came out, just because I'd heard about the concept of it. So I really needed something where I was just kind of solving some puzzles, so it was in a good spot for me right now. Part of the reason probably I give it such a high rating, it's also just a nice little break for me. I was able to take a lunch when I was playing it for the first time when we were going back through, when I was going back to play this the first time when we were starting on this indie game. I would take 20-30 minutes on my lunch, go solve a few puzzles, and it was a nice reprieve. So this game has got a good spot for me, and I really do appreciate how much work I know this singular person put into it, and it really shows in the game. And it showed, I can feel the love that this person put into this game and how much effort and struggle and everything that must come into it. So I really feel like this game deserves 8.5, and I personally have a lot of fun with little puzzles like this. So yeah, stick with that score.
Definitely the best of the Zach picks so far.
You motherfucker.
Just gonna shit on Heaven's Vault from now until.
That's fine. Heaven's Vault was a bad pick. I will agree to that.
Oh, Dan liked it.
Dan loved it, which is wild.
I mean, if one person gets that level of enjoyment out of it, then it's not a bad pick. Doesn't matter if I didn't like it.
I think I agree with you there. All right, so that'll wrap up Indies Nuts for this month. And we have a new game coming up next month. It's Brad's choice. So, Brad, what are we going to be playing next month?
I picked Gato Roboto. It's a sweet little 2D Metroidvania from Doinksoft. Devolver Digital put it out back in 2019. I find this game endlessly playable because it's maybe a 2 or 3 hour experience by my estimate. But it's just really cute and really fun, and I can't wait to see what you guys think of it. I know Wes has played it before, right?
I have played it. Yeah, it's really good. For anybody that doesn't recognize the name Doinksoft, if you're familiar with the indie game Gunbrella that released earlier this year, these are the same developers.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that got me pumped for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game is a ton of fun, and it's super charming. And to be honest, out of the reason why I picked this game this month is Hunter. I just want him. I just can't wait for him to react to like the interactions between like the cat, the dog, and the mouse.
Nice.
It's just such a cool, stupid little game.
I'm excited. I love cool, stupid games.
It'll cost you $2 right now until the 4th, I think, here on Steam. I don't know what I know.
I'm all
Wes
over
already owns it, so yeah. I think you're gonna have a ton of fun with it. You may play it more than once.
Let's go.
Yep. Looking forward to that. All right. So that ends Indy's Nuts. You know what that means? It's time for Hype Off! Get hyped!
We did it.
All right. Well done, guys. Well done. All right. Hype Off, of course, is the segment of the show where we all bring a game that's releasing within the next month that we are hyped for. And we're going to talk about those picks and try to guess what we think the Open Critic score is going to be for each of those. And whoever has the best cumulative score for that gets the last word on the show. So I'm going to kick it off with my pick this month, which is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is a new Prince of Persia game coming from Ubisoft. It's coming out, I believe, on the 18th of January. There's a demo that goes up on the 11th. They just had a new trailer at the Game Awards. We all had a chance to play this at PAX. 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. This game plays like butter. Like, it feels so good. Just double jumping, dashing, popping enemies up in the air, like whacking them back down on the ground through two swords, sliding around. It's super, super fun. And they demoed this game on Switch, and it just ran perfectly.
Yeah.
So I am like absolutely stoked to play this game. It's like the one thing that I am excited about for this big business trip I have coming up, where I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks, and I'm taking the Switch with me, and I'm like, at least I'll have Prince of Persia with me.
That is good. That is good.
That was a serious highlight of PAX. Like, this game felt fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't believe that was on a Switch for how clean it looked.
Some of the best feeling controls by far at that show. Like, it's so clean. It's just so clean. Like, it's one of those games where, like, the controls are so good and, like, so snappy, and it's like where a game just all of a sudden, like, it feels like you don't have hands and fingers anymore. Like, it's just like what you think you want a character to do just does it on the screen, right? Like, your fingers are just doing like your brain's subconscious work, and that game felt unbelievably good to play. I was actually very, very surprised at how much I enjoyed playing it, because I was, it looked good like in the previews and stuff, but actually playing it, people are gonna like this game.
That was worth standing in line for sure.
It wasn't even that long.
Best boost.
Like, the line went quick.
It was longer for me and for Brad when we played it, I think, than it was for you guys.
You were like right behind us. We were in this.
They still did a good job. Look, we all got COVID from that show, but it wasn't from that one, because they did a great job cleaning everything up and getting people in and out of there. I was very impressed with their setup.
Yeah, well done, Ubisoft. Well done.
What are you scoring,
All right.
Wes? Did you score it?
So, yep, I scored it. I'm looking at 84. I think it's going to be pretty good. Zach, what do you think? What's this game going to be?
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm feeling an 87.
87.
I think we've had a while since we've had a really good Prince of Persia game, and this feels like a really good Prince of Persia game.
I agree. Brad?
85.
I think in the middle. Hunter?
I also had an 85. That's what I wrote down. I'm going to stick with it.
Very good. Well, that's a pretty tight group there. for that one.
That's
This
not
game-
going to be
we've
a
all
good
played the
It's
game.
gonna be a good
We've
game.
all played the game.
we know what it is.
Yep.
And I got to the boss, and that was fun too.
Did you really?
I got all the way to the boss. The guy came over to me and was like, "That's like the farthest I've seen somebody." But of course, I just like sprinted to the end the second time I tried it. But the boss, like, it had all the good boss qualities. You know, sliding under is like a big, like hulking
And then you
beast. I did get killed.
You got killed, and then we realized that none of us. I wasn't doing it either. I wasn't saving at the trees or like.
Yes, I went all
resetting.
the way back to the beginning. He's like, "Yeah, you got to stop at the trees. Those are save points." I was like, "Oh, well, I'm an idiot, so it doesn't work out."
Oh well. Well, you have a chance to do the full thing here in a couple of weeks. So
definitely getting that game.
all right, Hunter, what did you bring to hype off?
I brought Bulletstorm VR. This is a little bit of like I think wishful thinking pick. There's, I've got this PSVR 2, which I'm actually playing a decent amount of Resident Evil 4 in VR in right now, and it's fantastic. And I'm really wanting some more good VR games to come out for it, because it's been well's been a little dry for a while, and they just haven't really done much with that. And it's fantastic hardware, and I'm like, please make some good games for it. And I feel like games like Bulletstorm are kind of the perfect candidates, because like that, kind of like Xbox 360, like good looking games that are going to be able to run like at a super buttery, like 120 frames or whatever you really need to like feel good in VR. And just, I have like memories of playing that game and it's just like stupid, dumb, balls to the wall, boomer shooter fun. So I have like high hopes that it's going to translate well to VR and be fun.
How do you kick people into a cactus in VR?
Well, so I don't know exactly, but like in Resident Evil 4, it's weird, like, because you do like the kicks in that, but like it actually just pans your VR camera out and like shows you like a 3D model of the melee attacks, and then it like kind of just zooms back in afterwards. So
okay,
yeah, which is a good way to do it, because then you don't feel like your head is turning around in a circle while you're doing like a roundhouse kick. It also does that for the ladders too, like, because ladders always get to me, and I'm glad that they actually kind of just let you watch Leon climb up a ladder. So hopefully, Bulletstorm, they do a good job with the VR, and it just is fun to shoot the crap out of everything.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, what'd you score it?
This is going to be a little bit like the RoboCop one, where I like wanted to be good and I kind of scored lower, but I'm going to give it a 77. I think Bulletstorm was probably just a mid-80s game even when it came out, so I don't think it's going to go any higher than that, obviously. But I also think that it maybe didn't age as well as I wanted it to, and it's in VR, so, which always like comes with some weird little gripes. I don't think people are going to give it higher than an 8, most people. So I'm gonna say, what did I say? 78, 77? I think I said
77.
77.
I think. Yeah.
77. I'll stick with that.
All right. Brad, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with a 78.
All right. Anything to add to that, or just
No,
straight
not
78?
really. I mean, I had a look at it. I didn't know this game existed until I looked into it.
It's Cliff Bleszinski. It's like Gears of War creator. Like, it's like in his prime.
I feel like it's gonna do okay amongst people who play these types of games, and I think it's gonna fall short of an 8. So I figured like a 78 would be appropriate. That's what I've written.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. I gave it a 76. I think that Bulletstorm is a known quantity. People know what to expect from that game at this point. I think it came out on PS3 originally.
Yeah, I think that's
remembering
right.
correctly.
PS3,
So it's
Xbox 360.
Been out for a while. And I think that it has a certain level of respect that goes with it. But I don't know that it's going to be like the best VR game. So go with a 76, sort of like a middle of the road VR experience. Zach, what about you?
I was looking at the clips of this. It looks like a ton of fun. We do have, I think, some other VR games not coming out soon, but it seems like they're starting to really make more good VR games, like things that you may actually want to spend the money on getting VR for. So this could be one of those games that's going to really help propel it a little bit more, maybe. I don't think it's going to be one that's going to have people like, oh, I'm going to have to go buy a VR headset just to go play it, because it's something you can go and play like on your computer, or you can find it other places. But I think this looks really good. Actually also had it at a 77 originally, but I can't do the same as Hunter.
Nope.
I'll go 76. I'll go 76 on this. I think it looks really like a lot of fun. I think they're going to do it. I think what I've seen on clips, it looks like they've done a good job of making it feel like you're just going to go shoot a bunch of stuff. Sometimes that's all we need in a day, is just to go blow some stuff to smithereens. Or take laser swords that they have apparently in this one and go cut them into tiny bits.
It also got that like weird, like just 1 month delay, like, which I feel like is sometimes indicative of like a game they know is good, and they just want to like, just polish up just a little bit more, like, well, 1 month delay never scares me. Anyway.
All right, Zach, you're up. What are you bringing to hype off?
Well, I mean, it's not a game I am super hyped on. I think it is going to be a fun game for a lot of people, so I'm hyped for them. I'm bringing Tekken 8. We got to see the booth for this at PAX, and it was a party over there. That booth was going non-stop. People getting in to play the games, people going to take their pictures with with people cosplaying as the characters. They had a punching bag on the side that I basically whiffed on.
I was going to ask, is the reason that you're like not excited about this game because of the punching bag incident?
It's not because of that. It's because I'm not a fighting game person.
I'm probably going to put the video of that up now that you mentioned it. Thank you.
Thanks. I like fighting games, but I can't spend the time that it takes to figure out all the combos. And let's be honest, Tekken is the worst of the bunch if you have trouble taking the time to figure out the combos. So maybe we'll get it if it's going to be on Game Pass or something. Maybe I'll get it. Hunter and I can beat each other up for a few rounds, but then kind of like...
Well, hang on. If you listen to the most recent like 2D fighters versus 3D fighters debate on the GGD podcast, Mateo basically came and represented Tekken as the people's fighter because it was something you could basically just mash through and do fine with. So...
But I don't want to mash. I can't. My brain hates mashing. I don't know what it is, but like I did that as a kid, and then when I started figuring out like how to do some combos, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get good at the combos, and then I would get beat by people mashing, and it pissed me off, and so I was just like, I'm just not gonna be that person.
All right, it makes sense.
I will definitely try this game. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Everyone, like seriously, it was a party at that Tekken setup that they had there, and it looks like everyone was having a blast. I think this is going to come in at an 84.
Okay. Hunter.
I'm appreciating that Wes, you haven't mentioned it to this point that we actually played against each other at the booth, and you freaking wipe floor. You clean my clock. Yeah, I don't know if he was button mashing, but he was kicking the shit out of me, whatever he's doing. I love watching people play fighting games like this. I really, really love it. I'm not as keen to play them myself, especially online, because I just get too frustrated. There's the big three kings of fighting games: Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken. And this one looks fantastically good. And there's like the bear video that Wes shared with us. There's like
oh man, that was so good.
What is the name of that bear?
Kuma,
like the panda version with like the little heart backpack.
No, Panda's been there, hasn't it? Panda's been a character for a while.
Kuma's been in it as well. Yeah.
Kuma's been in Tekken before. I think that didn't come from something else. That's pure Tekken, right?
No, Kuma's been in Tekken since like 2, I think.
No. I mean, but it's a Tekken character. Yes. Like it didn't come from some other franchise, right?
Yeah, it's a Tekken character.
That's what I thought.
I don't think he had an eye patch before though, or wore like a jean jacket, like a jean vest.
it's Tekken, dude. People are gonna eat it up. Like it's one of the best fighters out there. So, and I think it's got one of the best learning curves for people to like master. Like I think you can pick up and play easily, but you can also master it. So, I have no doubt fighting game fans are gonna love this one. I'm gonna give it an 88.
Nice.
Very high. Very high.
Damn.
All right. I went with 85. I think that this game is going to be great. I think it's going to sell great. I just think that like people like to nitpick a lot. And I think that there's going to be certain things about this that are going to be different from Old Tekken or something that people aren't going to like. And I think that some people are going to, there's going to be some lower scores that probably end up bringing it down a little bit. I don't think it's going to come to universal acclaim. But I think it's going to be a very well-regarded fighting game. But yeah, I'm going to go with 85 for my score. Brad, what do you think?
Tekken rules 86.
Tekken rules 86. Enough said.
San Dimas High School football rules.
All right. And Brad, that just leaves you for your hype off pick.
Yeah, short and sweet on it. It's like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
Yakuza
That's
game.
all there is to it. Yeah, so I'm a giant fan of the previous game, and I'm super duper pumped for this game. It comes like what do we get? We get like a Dragon, then we get Persona 3 Reload, and then we get Final Fantasy. Like it's like all in like a month. It's like not fair, but I'm definitely going to be like sinking my claws into this game. It comes out on the 26th of January here, so it'll give me. I guess I'll get like a week with it before Reload comes out. But
you get your beach resort going.
Yeah, I was just about to mention we've all seen the beach resort thing. That seems like a ton of fun. So more of a good thing is always good. I'm expecting it to slightly outperform its predecessor, and I'm super psyched, and I hope I'm not going a little too far, but I gave it a 90.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
90.
I can see it getting there. I could get there.
We'll see.
I'm hopeful. I think people are really going to dig this.
What do you think, Zach?
I think this game looks like a ton of fucking fun. I have not played Like a Dragon, so I feel like I need to go play that first.
Oh, yeah, you should.
It's so good.
Yeah,
but
you need to.
I want to play this one really bad, especially now that I know about the Farmville version or whatever the freaking island,
the Animal Crossing island,
the Animal Crossing beach resort. It just sounds like a ton of silly hijinks fun that Yakuza is good for. I'm going with an 88. This game just feels like we need something like this. It's just going to be a blast. I'm in for it. Let's go. 88.
All right, Hunter.
I have a hard time like putting any Yakuza game over Yakuza 0, like which I think has like an 85, which is just dumb on OpenCritic. I think I'm going to give it an 84, despite the fact that I know it is going to deserve more than that. I feel like I'm probably going to be wrong on this one, just because if they manage to do what they do best and make an actual Yakuza Animal Crossing work, which they will, it's what they do. Like, they can make anything work. I don't understand how they do it, but they can. And but if they make that work, people are going to eat that up. It's going to be so fun. So, but I can't put it over 0, because that's like, to me, that's like the top tier of almost any video game, really. I love that game. So I'm going to say an 84.
Yeah, it is. It's my favorite in the series as well. I'm going to go with an 87 on this one. I think it's going to score really, really well. I think that maybe the only thing that might drag it down just a little bit is just the extreme rate of video game releases that RGG has been putting out. Like 2 this year, plus 1 immediately at the beginning of the following year. And it's just like this fire hose of content. They are just like, it's like, stop, slow down. And these games are typically enormous as it is anyway. So I think I might be getting maybe just a little bit tired. Thankfully, this is the second turn-based one, and it's not the live action beat 'em up style, which Gaiden was. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think 87.
Okay, can I put a counter argument to your thought of they have way too many coming out all at once?
Okay.
this is because of COVID. They had all of these games getting developed, and they had to push all of them back. But we're getting them all now because they've been in development for that long.
Yeah, well, it still doesn't stop the fire hose.
But even so, then they also put out like Judgment 2 right before that, and yeah, I mean it's just been like at least one game a year. So they're just so dang prolific with these things, even with COVID. It's crazy.
If I tried to go back and play like all the ones that I haven't gotten around to playing yet, I think I'd be playing like 4 games at this point. Like, before I even got to Infinite Wealth. So, like,
yeah. Shout out to Brendan Wims, who just played through the entirety of the series this year.
Holy moly!
All of them, trying to get to the point where he had caught up.
Yeah.
So that when Infinite Wealth comes out, he's completely caught up. But he did it.
Did he put enough time into like like managing like a gentleman's club? I don't know that you can rush through that.
I think he put a lot of time into most of those games. I think he was pretty thorough. I think.
Right, I feel like to truly play all of those up to speed,
I don't know how he did it,
hours. That's like 1,000 hours of video games.
It's a lot of them.
It's a lot of games.
It's a lot of goons.
All right, well,
it's got to be at least
a lot of good games
10,000.
to look forward to next month. But let's talk about December's games. Hunter's going to talk through how we did statistically on our game guesses from the last show.
Yes. Okay. So from a stats overall perspective, we all sucked ass. That's the technical term. Remember when there was one time where Wes was only 3 away total? Well, the closest that somebody got to all the scores this time was 79. That was our
but
winning.
There's a very specific reason.
There's
for
an
that.
outlier. There's an outlier. We'll get to that. But still, if you're looking at it all, we still did that bad. And the fact that nobody thought that this might happen, like, somebody should have maybe said like something crazy with this one. Surprised none of us realized it at the time, looking back in hindsight. But hindsight is 2020. So let's get to that one. Let's start off with Wes's pick. He picked Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which I think is doing worse than it deserves to do. I've been playing this game and it's really, really good. I mean, it's a Far Cry game, but it's fun. The score that it ended up with is a 71. Closest to that was actually Brad at a 79. Furthest away was Zach at an 84. But again, this is better than a 71. It's a beautiful, beautiful game, and it feels like you're running around Pandora. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so the reason all our scores are so freaking god awful is because Zach decided to include.
I did a good job.
He decided to include the day before, which
there were no games last month.
There really wasn't much to pick from, but. I think everybody's probably well aware of like what's going on with this game. If you're not, this basically turned out to be like a giant like asset flip scam kind of thing where like the game just isn't even really playable. It only ended up getting like 4 reviews anyway, which is pretty much I think exactly what you need on OpenCritic to actually get a score. We thought we might end up with another situation where Zach picked a game that like didn't have a score and would be disqualified automatically, but it ended up getting a score, and that score was a 12. Out of 4 reviews, it ended up with a 12. The closest to that was me actually, with a 70, and Brad was furthest away with a 78. But yes, that game isn't even really a game. Like it's just it's a piece of shit. So. Moving on, Brad brought Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. That game ended up at a 73. Have you been playing that, Brad? You like it? Anything?
I played a few hours into it, then I got really sick, so.
Oh, okay.
I had to set it down, and then other things happened. But I'll get back to it for sure. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I think people kind of knew. What to expect with that one. So Zach and Wes actually tied for closest to that. Scored 73. They guessed 75. I was furthest away with an 80. And moving on to our last game, I brought Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, which is actually like, it started off kind of slow, but like it's really picked up Steam score wise. The more people that review it, it ended up before we got to it at a 78. But all the reviews I read basically led me to believe that it just has like some kind of bugginess that needs to be fixed, but the actual core game is really fun. So I'm kind of looking forward to maybe trying that after we ever finish Baldur's Gate or something. It's drop in, drop out co-op, kind of CRPG type game in the Warhammer universe. So final score is 78. Zach was the closest with a 77. Wes was furthest away with an 84. So doing all of the numbers, even though Zach brought the absolute worst game ever made, he ended up winning the hype off with a 79. And in even more unsurprising fashion, Brad and Wes tied for something, which is what they like to do. Last time we had to try and do like some kind of tiebreaker for them, and they fucking tied again. They can't stop tying each other. So in order to determine our official loser, we're going to do a repeat of what we did last time, and I'm going to pick.
We have to compete.
We have to compete to be the loser. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick a game at random that I don't think either of them have played or know a score of. If they have, then we'll pick a different one. Then we're just going to go on the honor code. And they're going to guess a score for it, and whoever ends up being closest will not be the loser. We're not going to call him a winner, but not the loser. So, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The game I randomly picked is called Marble It Up Ultra. Which, yeah, I have no idea what this game is. It looks like some kind of...
It's like Peggle, probably.
It almost looks like some kind of Marble Madness type thing. It's on...
Is this a newer game?
Came out in August. Came out August 17th. And it's out for basically everything. Yeah.
Basically everything.
X and X, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, PC, PlayStation 5.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask a question? Or?
I mean, I don't know that I know any answers to it. I gave you literally all the information I know.
All right.
It's just a guess, Brad. It's just a guess.
Yeah. It's called Marble It Up Ultra. It came out this
75.
year.
What the hell?
Okay. I thought we were supposed to show her. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is that what you wrote, Wes?
Did you already write something?
No, I didn't write. I wrote something, but it's
well,
fine.
then you can just show yours now.
I wrote 64.
64. Okay. Thank God. Y'all did not tie on this.
They're going to be the exact same distance away from it now, Hunter. Now that you said that.
No, they're not.
I forgot we were writing them down.
No, we have a definitive winner. Or definitive not loser, I should say.
Let me guess, it's like a 50, and Wes got it because it's the under.
Our not loser is Brad. The game scored a 78. It is actually
man. All right.
It is
I am the biggest loser.
88% critics recommend.
It sounded like shovelware, like it would have came in like a 50 or something.
I picked it because it's like...
I know nothing about it.
It just looks ridiculous. It looks like the cover to that... like emoji movie that got like a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, but apparently it's not bad.
Right.
Maybe we'll try it out.
Well, congrats, Brad, on not losing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
all right. Well, with that, we're at the end of Hype Off and the end of the podcast. Thank you if you've stuck with us the whole time. We really appreciate you listening. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items. Come and check out the Discord. We do everything that kind of sets up this podcast over on the Discord. We take the nominees for the top 10. We vote on our top 5s over there. We take comments for the Indies Nuts games if you play along over on the Discord. And we would love for people to come and join us on the Discord and participate with us. And if you are listening to this and you enjoy it, please come and be a part of it. We can't do the podcast without you. And everything that we do is based on the GGD community. We'd love to have you come be a part of that and participate with us. It makes it so much more fun the more people we have. So that would be great. Also, it would be awesome if you enjoyed the show. Share it with a friend. We would love to grow the show and get more listeners. So please do that if you don't mind. That would be super appreciated. We would also love any positive reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That would be great as well. Just a reminder, we're going to be playing Gato Roboto for Indies Nuts next month. We would love for you to play along. And we didn't really get anybody jumping in on Gorogoa this month. We understand it's a busy time with the holidays and everything. We would love for a few of the community members to jump in and play along with us for the Indies Nuts game next month. Last thing real quick, we have a Patreon and we have a couple of awesome patron supporters. Just want to shout them out really quick. Thank you so much to Pucho, Dakota Falk, and Dan Giesland for your support. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Also, check out our sister podcast, the original Great Game Debate podcast. They should be back here in mid-January or so with a new episode coming up, and another great debate. And we just finished doing the GOTY episode that dropped a couple weeks ago, kind of wrapping up everybody's thoughts on the games of this year. I was a guest on that show and gave my top 5 over there. We had a good time. And I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, guys?
I don't think so. You did a great job on that show. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really fun. I always appreciate being able to go back and join in on that again. So
yeah. Stick around for the last word and the punishment.
Yeah, final word and my punishment for being the biggest loser is coming up at the very end. So until next month, thanks and happy gaming.
And Happy New Year.
Bye. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Okay, everybody. So as punishment for getting the last place on Hype Off this month, Zach has informed me that I have to try to attempt to beat his time trial ghost on Mount Wario in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I will be making that attempt, and hopefully Hunter will be able to capture that, and we can try to throw that up so everybody can see how terrible I am at playing Mario Kart.
All right, and I don't deserve to be here for last word after picking the day before, really. So I just want to invite everyone to go and enjoy trying to be with me, and I'd be happy if someone could beat me because that would give me a reason to go back and try and do even crazier on those laps. But yeah, have fun. If you want to add me on Switch so you can see my ghost, go for it. You can see how I did the lap. I absolutely would love to see more people get really good at that track because it's a ton of fun to speed run. Also, I would just like to say thank you to the people you love in your life right now. It's I know that we've just had Christmas and it's a good spot for saying thank you for things, but just make sure that you do reach out to those people because you never know when someone might need it. But be thankful for everyone in your life and just make sure that they know it. Thanks, everyone.